Chapter 241. Rumung, let's fly back directly. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. Huang Rumung nodded, controlled the immortal boat, and flew toward the great monster mountain. Sun Hao looked at the scenery outside through the immortal boat and sighed secretly. After these days of experimentation, he did not find any skill with damage, not to mention the destruction of heaven and earth. Even the ground did not explode a crack. In other words, he was nothing more than a permanent buff, specializing in enhancing people's various strengths. However, this buff had no effect on him. It seems that I have to collect blessing points honestly in the future. Sun Hao muttered to himself. Although he was not hurt now, the terrifying means of permanent buff would still make many big shots afraid. Once they knew, they would send all kinds of masters to kill him. At that time, he wouldn't even know how he died. Low-key, he must be low-key. These abilities must be used less or not in other places. Also, he must cultivate a group of die-hard followers. Thinking of this, Sun Hao looked at Huang Rumung and nodded slightly. This girl was definitely a die-hard follower of himself. If he asked her to go east, she would never go west. Even if he asked her to do something happy with him, it would not be a problem. Rumung needs to be trained, and find a few more reliable ones to be trained as die-hard followers. Sui Ling is not bad. Brother Chun is also good. Old One is also reliable. Although Miss Mu Bing doesn't like to talk, she is also a good person. There is also Miss Lu Yin. She seems to admire me very much, and it should be no problem to train her as a die-hard follower. Sun Hao muttered to himself, thinking about all this secretly. He opened the Blessing Points panel and found that the Blessing Points had reached more than 92,000, less than 8,000 from 100,000. It will be 100,000 soon. Once it reaches it, it will be one step forward in 10 steps. I must work hard. South of Sun Hao's residence. Two figures came quickly, and after landing, they turned into two women. The two of them were Su Yiling and Taoist Ruo Shi. Senior Ruo Shi. I just said 100 points. Did you remember all of them? Su Yiling said. Taoist Ruo Shi waved her horsetail whisk and bowed slightly. Thank you for your guidance, Miss Yiling. I will remember. Senior Ruo Shi, you are too polite. Su Yiling smiled slightly and looked at 100 Flowers Valley, Shaolon. Are you at home? This sound. Soon, a figure drifted over. Flower Fairy. Taoist Ruo, she was taken aback. You are? The Flower Fairy frowned slightly, her face full of confusion. The Taoist, nun in front of him, was both familiar and unfamiliar at the same time. For a moment, it was hard to tell who she was. I am Taoist Ling Su. Have you forgotten me? Taoist Ruo, she said. What? The Flower Fairy quickly ran over with a look of surprise. You're still alive? Aren't you the same? Taoist Ruo, she said with a smile. What exactly is going on? The Flower Fairy asked. Sigh. It's a long story. Taoist Ruo, she told him everything about how she had transformed into Taoist Ling Su to fulfill her lover's wish. When the Flower Fairy heard this, she secretly nodded her head. Her face was full of admiration. You have someone who understands you and will never be separated from you. I really envy you. Don't talk about me. What about you? How have you been doing lately? The Flower Fairy told him about her recent events. Hearing this, Taoist Ruo, she secretly thought. It seems that the young master saved you and me. I'm afraid there is a deep meaning. Taoist Ruo, she said. Yes, the young master told me about the evil spirits. These days, I haven't been idle and killed a lot of evil spirits. Plus the hunting team of the Evil Suppression Alliance. More than 90% of the evil spirits in the entire Tianluo continent have been killed. The Flower Fairy said. What? Su Yiling's eyes widened, and she looked surprised. Sister Xiaolan, aren't you too powerful? It's only been a few days. The Flower Fairy smiled slightly. All of this is thanks to the young master. I can now calculate the evil spirits, and killing the evil spirits is easy. Since you can deal with the evil spirits, why does the young master want to help me break through? I'm afraid it's not as simple as helping me break through. Taoist Ruo, she frowned slightly, revealing a thoughtful look. Senior Ruo Shi, don't think about it. You'll know when you see the young master. Su Yiling said. That's right. Taoist Ruo Shi nodded. By the way, where is your master? AI. Su Yiling sighed secretly. Master went to find old man Juyo. Old man Juyo? That old guy? Taoist Ruo, she looked surprised. Sister Yiling, why is your master looking for that old fellow? Flower Fairy asked. Sister Xiaolan, I heard from master that it seems to be the young master's request. Su Yiling scratched her head, showing a thoughtful look. Young master wants to find someone to fish, and the one who knows fishing Dao. It seems that only old man Juyo. Hearing this, Taoist Raw, she's body trembled, revealing a thoughtful look. In that case, young master, help me break through, because you want me to help you find old man Juyo? Young master only wants to fish with him? Impossible. With young master's strength, is there a need to fish with an immortal? There must be a deeper meaning behind this. I must help young master find old man Juyo as soon as possible. Thinking of this, Taoist Ruo, she looked towards the east and muttered to herself, Old man, I hope you didn't offend the young master, otherwise you're finished. Sister Xiaolan, Senior Ruo Shi, let's go up. Su Yiling's voice broke Taoist Ruo Shi's thoughts. All right. Flower Fairy and Taoist Ruo, she nodded together and followed Su Yiling up the mountain. At the foot of the mountain to the west of Sun Hao's residence, in a pavilion, Zhan Tianpeng stood in front of the window, waving the fan in his hand gently. He looked at the top of the mountain and frowned slightly. Young master should be back today, right? Young master, why don't we ask Miss Yiling to give the immortal gold fragment to the young master? Elder Fong asked. Yeah, Zhan Tianpeng sighed secretly. I still want to see young master again. Young master, we're just going back to the mother planet. It should be fine. Elder Fong said. Yes, young master, you don't have such good luck to run into the dragon race. Elder Zheng said. It's hard to say. Zhan Tianpeng's face was full of sadness. There are still 3 months before the clan meeting. The patriarch is so anxious to summon us. I think there must be something important. Why worry about most is my father. Speaking of this, Zhan Tianpeng looked sad. Young master, the patriarch is blessed by the heavens. Nothing will happen. Elder Fong said. I hope so too. Our Zhan family, building the stargazing tower, is not only coveted by humans, but also many poisonous snakes. Even some ancient families are the same. I'm afraid that some people will be used by outsiders for their own selfish interests. I'm afraid. Zhan Tianpeng clenched his fists, and his joints exploded. Young master, you want to see the young master again, and I hope the young master can give me some hints? Elder Fong asked. Yes. Zhan Tianpeng nodded secretly. I really hope the young master will come back soon. Young master, look. At this moment, a cry of surprise sounded. Zhan Tianpeng looked at the sky ferry boat, and his eyes bloomed with a strange light. The young master is back. Chapter 242. Young master, are you home? Sun Hao had just sat down, and Su Yiling's voice came from outside the courtyard door. Young master, I'll open the door. Not long after, under the leadership of Huang Rumeng, the 3 of them came forward. Behind Huang Rumeng, Taoist Ra, she was in awe and trepidation, her forehead overflowing with fine beads of sweat. Greetings, young master. Taoist Ruo, she bowed deeply, looking very respectful. You are? Sun Hao asked. Young master, this is Taoist Ruoshi. Su Yiling said. Taoist Ruoshi? Sun Hao frowned, and then showed a look of sudden realization. I remember, the stone pagoda was given by this Miss Ruoshi, right? Thank you. Young master, you're too polite. This little thing isn't worth mentioning. Young master, I came here today to thank young master for the painting. Taoist Ruoshi said. It's just a painting, as long as Miss Ruo, she doesn't mind. After speaking, Sun Hao took out a painting scroll from his arms and handed it to Taoist Ruoshi. Miss Ruoshi, please accept this humble one's foolish work. Young master, this many thanks, young master. Taoist Ruo, she held the scroll in her hand and trembled slightly with excitement. Ding, blessing points plus 2,000 hearing this. Sun Hao's eyes flashed. It seemed that it would not be a problem to gather 100,000 blessing points today. No matter what, he must gather 100,000 blessing points. Thinking like this, Sun Hao raised the corner of his mouth slightly and said, "Today, no matter what, everyone must have dinner before leaving." "Yes, young master." In Su Yiling's eyes, the light flickered, and she swallowed a few times from time to time. Taoist Ruo Shi, who was about to find an excuse to leave, nodded slightly. "Thank you, young master." "Okay." The flower fairy nodded. "Young master, are we eating loach again today?" Su Yiling asked. "Not bad." Sun Hao nodded. "The weather is a little cold. Then let's eat a loach hot pot." "Great." Su Yiling's eyes were shining, and her face was full of surprise. Taoist Ruo, she looked at the two women with a puzzled expression. A Shin immortal and an Earth immortal. Why were they so excited at the mention of food? Could it be that the food that the young master ate was not ordinary? No matter how extraordinary it was just one of the 5 grains in the human world that could only satisfy one's appetite. "Flower fairy, it's just eating loach. Why are you so excited?" Taoist Ruoshi asked. The flower fairy smiled mysteriously. "Ruoshi, you will know soon. I guarantee that when you see it, your jaw will definitely drop." "Jaw dropping? Stop joking." Taoist Ruo, she shook her head slightly, her face full of disbelief. "Everyone, please take a seat inside. It's a little cold outside." Sun Hao walked into the living room with a few people. The charcoal fire was burning brightly, giving off a warm feeling. He set up a shelf next to the charcoal fire and poured in the tea oil. "Everyone, please take a seat. I'll be right back." After speaking, Sun Hao took Huang Rumeng and left quickly. After a while, "All right." Sun Hao and Su Li walked back again. When Taoist Ruo, she saw the plate in Sun Hao's hand, her scalp exploded. This is the loach that young master mentioned? Oh my god, this is a dragon, all right? "Young master, are you going to eat a dragon?" Taoist Ruo, she's pupils shrank, and her expression changed. In this world, besides the young master, who else would dare to eat a dragon so blatantly? That is... Suddenly, Taoist Ruo, she's scalp exploded again. Looking at the basin in Huang Rumeng's hand, she stood there dumbfounded. This is the immortal divine medicine. There are at least hundreds of them. What is the young master going to do with them? Is it possible? The more she thought about it, the more violent Taoist Ruo, she's heart beat. Although the immortal divine medicine was not a divine medicine, it was still a level higher than the supreme immortal medicine. This kind of thing was rare in the world. Every time it was born, it would trigger a phenomenon of heaven and earth, making the powerhouses go crazy. Even the immortal emperors were no exception. They could fight for a stalk of immortal divine medicine, and they could fight until the sky was dark and the sun and moon were dim. Immortal kings and immortals didn't even have a chance to step aside. If they were not careful, they might be blasted into powder by the aftermath. This kind of thing that immortal emperors fought for could be seen in a young master's place. If she didn't pinch herself a few times, who would dare to believe it? Incredible, it was incredible. Taoist Ruo, she suppressed the shock in her heart and stared at Sun Hao's movements. She saw that Sun Hao's cooking movements were smooth. Soon, the thick white soup was cooked and bursts of fragrance greeted her nose. What? They all fell down? Hundreds of stalks of immortal divine medicine to cook loaches? Oh no, to cook dragons. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, who would dare to believe it? Taoist Ruo, she muttered to herself, swallowing her saliva from time to time. After tens of thousands of years, there was a feeling of hunger. No matter, the dragon race is the dragon race. I will eat it. To be able to eat this meal, I have no regrets even if I die. Taoist Ruo, she muttered to herself. It took a long time for her to recover. How is it? The flower fairy asked with a smile. It's really an eye-opener. Incredible. Taoist Ruo, she transmitted her voice. Of course, the immortal divine medicine in my eyes is just a vegetable in the young master's hands. Not worth mentioning. The flower fairy transmitted her voice. What kind of existence is the young master? Since ancient times, there seems to be no record of such a powerhouse. Taoist Ruo, she asked. I can't imagine that the immortal emperor is not even a slag in the eyes of the young master. The flower fairy said. The two women kept communicating with their divine senses, guessing Sun Hao's identity. Cook for a while, and it will be ready soon. Looking at the pairs of eager expressions, Sun Hao raised the corner of his mouth slightly. From the looks of it, reaching 100,000 blessing points today was a sure thing. Young master, are you at home? At this moment, a sound came from outside. Young Master Jean? Sun Hao's eyes lit up. Young master, I'll open the door. Huang Rumeng quickly ran out. A moment later, under Huang Rumeng's lead, Jean Tianpeng and the other two quickly arrived. Greetings, young master. The three bowed deeply to Sun Hao. You're welcome. It's better to come at the right time than to come early. This time you caught up. Sit down. Sun Hao said. Many thanks, young master. Jean Tianpeng and the other two sat down, looking at Sun Hao with a fiery face, swallowing saliva from time to time. From the looks of it, it wouldn't be a problem for him to break through to Xian Immortal or even Earth Immortal today. If she hadn't come to the young master's place, how would she have dared to break through to the celestial realm? I didn't expect that the young master's place would actually become a lightning tribulation forbidden zone. All right, Sun Hao lifted the lid of the pot, and a complex fragrance came to his face. Su Yiling couldn't wait any longer. She picked up a loach and sent it into her mouth. Fragrant, tender, smooth, fresh, salty, dozens of complex tastes filled his mouth. The taste bud cells were active. It was so delicious. After one went down, Su Yiling picked up another one again. When the others saw this scene, they also started to eat. Everyone didn't care about the image of an immortal at all, and they ate freely. Ding, blessing point +1 ding, blessing point +1. Hearing these voices, Sun Hao nodded secretly, and his eyes flickered. He was getting closer and closer to 100,000 blessing points. He had a feeling in his heart that after breaking through 100,000, there would be an unexpected gain. He just didn't know what this gain was. In Sun Hao's eyes, there was a kind of expectation. He looked at everyone and nodded secretly. He saw. Everyone was eating without the slightest politeness. Suddenly, Kacha! The sound of the realm membrane cracking sounded. Jean Tianpeng froze in place, full of disbelief. I broke through. I am now a profound immortal. If this goes on, it won't take long to break through to the Earth Immortal. Jean Tianpeng muttered to himself, his face full of surprise. Except for Jean Tianpeng, several others were also full of surprise. After the meal, Dao was raw. She stood up. Young master, don't worry, everyone listen to my song today before you go. How about it? Sun Hao said, seeing that he was about to get 100,000 blessing points. How could he let you go so easily? Young master playing music? Great, I want to hear it. Su Yiling was the first to stand up and express her approval. Let's go to the yard. Chapter 243. Clang. The sound of a zither sounded, centered on Sun Hao's fingertips, vibrating and stretching in all directions. At this moment, everything within 100 li fell silent. Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked back in the direction of Sun Hao's residence, listening attentively. The sound of the zither was sometimes gentle, like a small spring flowing in the mountains, tinkling. Sometimes it was intense, as if thousands of horses were galloping and thousands of soldiers were slaughtering each other. It was as warm as spring, as hot as summer, as cool as autumn, and as bitingly cold as winter. All kinds of tastes were constantly changing. Everyone listened quietly, their expressions motionless. Their state of mind, soul, and realm were all becoming stronger. On Sun Hao's blessing point panel, it was getting closer and closer to 100,000. 99888, 99889. Finally, at this moment, it had reached 100,000. At this moment, buzz, a sound shook Sun Hao's mind. His head buzzed, and his expression changed drastically. It was as if someone had torn apart a membrane in front of him. At this moment, he could see spiritual chi whistling and immortal chi drifting. He saw the circulation of Tao runes and the circulation of soul power. In fact, one could even see that when he played the zither, rays of multicolored light vibrated out from his fingertips, and surged throughout the world. Some entered the bodies of the people in front of them. The rest howled in all directions, surging towards all living beings. Sun Hao could clearly sense that all living things were strengthening. Can I control these colorful lights? Sun Hao muttered and began to operate with his mind. In the next second, he was surprised to find that the multicolored light completely obeyed his command. Boom! The sound of the zither continued. However, the five-colored light turned around Sun Hao and did not spread out. Enter my body. Sun Hao controlled these colorful lights and poured them into his body. However, after the five-colored light entered his body, it gushed out once again. In other words, there was no way to store them. Looks like my useless physique isn't wrong. Since that's the case, I'll give them all to Ruming. Sun Hao murmured, using his mind to control all the colorful light to fly into Huang Ruming's body. Phew! The multicolored radiance wrapped around Huang Ruming and entered her body through her pores. It flowed through her meridians and throughout her entire body. Gotcha! In just an instant, Huang Ruming successfully broke through. The great Tao of destruction had successfully broken through to the celestial, immortal realm. She sat cross-legged on the ground, her face full of shock. However, she didn't dare to stop now. She crazily revolved her cultivation method. In the next breath, Kacha, the great Tao of life, broke through to the yellow, immortal realm. However, it did not stop. The breakthrough continued. Kacha, like the sound of firecrackers, Huang Ruming broke through rapidly. A long time after the multicolored light disappeared, Huang Ruming opened her eyes. That kind of uncontrollable surprise was written all over his face. Now, all the great Taos that he had comprehended had reached the supreme realm. As long as he condensed his Tao seal and passed the immortal king tribulation, he would be able to become an immortal king. However, all of this depended on one's own efforts. It had only been half a year, and he had already reached this level. All of this was thanks to the young master. Young master, thank you. Huang Ruming ran into Sun Hao's arms and hugged him tightly. Her delicate lips kissed Sun Hao's lips. The two of them hugged each other for a long time. Young master, I didn't see anything. Su Yiling's voice awakened the two, and they quickly let go. Young master's great kindness. Ruo, she will remember it. I will never forget young master's great kindness. Everyone came forward and bowed deeply to Sun Hao. Everyone, you're welcome, Sun Hao said with a smile. Although he still couldn't cultivate, he had the ability to control the buff and release it to whoever he wanted. This ability still had to be studied carefully. It was best to study the power of self-protection. Young master, then I will leave today. Taoist Ruo, she stood up with an anxious face. She must help the young master find old man Jiuyo immediately. Miss Ruo, she, take care. Remember to come often in the future. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. After leaving Sun Hao's mansion, Taoist Ruo, she did not stop for a moment and rushed down the mountain. Then, she turned into an escape light and disappeared into the sky. Young master, this is some iron ore I found for you. After speaking, Zhan Tianpeng waved his right hand. Pieces of five-spirit immortal gold fell to the ground and piled up like a hill. Young Master Zhan, you're so polite. Sun Hao smiled and nodded. With a gesture, Huang Ruming put away the five-spirit immortal gold. Young Master, I may have to leave Xiang Star. This time I came to say goodbye to you. Zhan Tianpeng said. Leave? Sun Hao frowned slightly. Ruming, take out those boat cores. Yes, young master. Huang Ruming waved her right hand, and dozens of boat cores floated in front of Zhan Tianpeng. Young Master Zhan, take this. Sun Hao said. Many thanks, young master. Zhan Tianpeng put away the dozens of boat cores. Ding, blessing point +1 ding. Blessing point +1. 3 notifications rang out consecutively. After Sun Hao heard it, he could not help but frown slightly. Why were there only so few blessing points? Open the panel to take a look. Blessing point 100003. In other words, he could only receive 1 point for every gift he gave. At most, he could only give 3. The other dozens of items did not reap any blessing points. So little blessing points? Holy shit, Don't tell me I can only get 3 blessing points from one person a day. How long will it take to collect all of them? You lousy system, you're such a scammer. I'll try again later, Sunhouse secretly said. Young Master, we will also take our leave. Take care, young Master Jean. Remember to come often. Definitely, definitely. Leaving Sun Hao's residence, Jean Tianpeng summoned the immortal boat and flew toward the sky. Young Master, why don't you say so and let young Master give some instructions? Elder Fong asked. No, Jean Tianpeng shook his head secretly. Young Master doesn't care about breaking our Tao heart and helping us break through continuously. This time, we have broken through to the celestial immortal realm. And when we return to the mother planet, we also have the power to fight. Not to mention, after speaking, Jean Tianpeng waved his right hand, and dozens of boat cores appeared in front of him. These boat cores given by Young Master are extremely not simple. Each one has the power to destroy heaven and earth. If I really encounter danger, I can sacrifice a boat core. Let me see who can take it. Jean Tianpeng released his breath, and his body was full of cold, killing intent. When the 2 old men heard it, they nodded slightly. Hey, Elder Fong, what are you holding in your hand? Jean Tianpeng asked. Young Master, this is poker. Poker? What is this used for? For recreation. Can it be used to play landlord? Landlord, young Master, I will teach you. Purple Sunstar on a certain continent. This continent was known as the Forbidden Land, also known as the Forbidden Land of the Immortal Emperor. Not long ago, Sun Hao drove the immortal boat and mistakenly entered this place, in the center of the Forbidden Land. Suddenly, 2 storms spinning rapidly, endless waves of air constantly shaking. The sky, getting darker and darker, couldn't see 5 fingers in front of him. It was as if the light of heaven and earth was devoured, leaving only darkness. Buzz! In the center of the 2 storms, 2 red lights suddenly emitted. The red light rushed into the sky, and the world was still. The 2 storms disappeared in response. Those 2 red lights, like the eyes of hell, opened. The red light intertwined in mid-air, like silk constantly hovering, and soon it condensed into a giant blood-red cocoon. Soon after, Kacha, the giant cocoon, cracked in response. A woman broke out of the cocoon. Behind her, there were 2 blood-red feather wings, and her whole body was even more blood-red. He looked like a demon from hell, making one's hair stand on end. Yafei! Suddenly, a voice came from the ground. My lord! The woman knelt down. Not long ago, some ants escaped from my territory while I was asleep. You catch them for me. Yes, my lord. Remember, this year's Chinese New Year is when he is the weakest. You take action at that time. Yes, my lord. The woman shook her body, and the blood-red skin on her body became white at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even her wings became white. Her white clothes were dyed with layers of brilliance, like an angel descending, beautiful beyond comparison. Buzz, her wings shook, and after swinging layers of ripples, she disappeared. Reading benefits give you a cash red envelope. Follow VX Public Book Friends Base to receive it. Chapter 244. Miss Yuling, wait a minute. Sun Hao stopped Su Yiling. Hearing this, Su Yiling's body trembled. Young Master's going to test me again. What should I do? Young Master, what do you want? The corners of Su Yiling's mouth raised, and 2 dimples appeared on both sides of her mouth. Very sweet. Miss Yiling, I'm going to give you 3 things. Come with me. Sun Hao said. 3? No way. What should I do? Choosing one will take me a long time to think about it. Not to mention 3. Master, come back quickly. I can't stand it anymore. Who will help me? Su Yiling followed behind Sun Hao with a bitter face. After a while, Su Yiling followed Sun Hao to the carving room. Miss Yiling, you can choose 3 of the things inside. Sun Hao said. Inside. That's much easier. Su Yiling's eyes regained their light. Thank you, young master. 3 steps became 2 steps. Su Yiling ran into the carving room and easily found 3 broken limbs. 2 legs, 1 arm. Young master deliberately put them here, obviously to let me choose them. I'm so smart. Su Yiling grabbed the 3 broken limbs, held them in her hand, and walked to Sun Hao. Young master, can I choose these 3? Ding, blessing point +1 ding, blessing point +1. 3 consecutive sounds rang. Sun Hao heard these sounds and couldn't help but nod secretly. These 3 broken limbs were deliberately placed here by himself. Unexpectedly, she didn't let him down this time. Since there was a blessing point in the account, there was nothing wrong. Of course. Thank you, young master. Then I will go down a mountain first today. Good. Go. After saying goodbye to Sun Hao, Su Yiling rushed down the mountain. When she came to the attic, she took out the communication jade slip and immediately sent a message to Chun Dao Ming. Young master sent me 3 broken limbs. What should I do? Chun Dao Ming. Send them to us immediately. Su Yiling. Okay. After replying to the message, Su Yiling looked at Sun Hao's residence and couldn't help swallowing her saliva. I haven't left yet, and I'm hungry. Go and come back quickly, let's go. Su Yiling turned into a rainbow and rushed to the dragon tomb. Sun Hao's residence, backyard. Sun Hao sat in front of an ancient zither. Raising his head to look at the soul-sinking divine wood, his lips curled into a faint smile. Since he was a permanent buff, he could enhance various abilities. The soul-immersing divine wood was no exception. If I play this tune, it should be able to germinate, right? Sun Hao muttered to himself and began to play. Clang. The zither notes produced beautiful sound waves that turned into wisps of 5-colored light that surged into the soul-sinking divine wood. In the end, the 5-colored light was completely absorbed by the soul-sinking divine wood. After the song, Sun Hao looked up at the soul-subduing divine wood and couldn't help but frown slightly. Although the soul-sinking divine wood had regained some vitality, it still had no intention of germinating. Rumung, why hasn't this soul-sinking divine wood sprouted yet? Sun Hao asked. Young master, the soul-immersing divine wood needs 1,000 years to germinate, 1,000 years to bloom, and 1,000 years to bear fruit. Finally, it's the 3,000-year slumber period. From the looks of it, the soul-subduing divine wood is currently in a deep slumber. It might take some time before it will sprout. Huang Ruming said. Hearing this, Sun Hao was shocked. In that case, it would take another 3,000 years? That would take too long. Forget it. Let's try another tree. Sun Hao fixed his gaze on a cherry tree. Clang. The sound of the zither sounded. The 5-colored light instantly enveloped the cherry tree. At this moment, a miracle happened. The cherry tree grew at a speed visible to the naked eye, and in the blink of an eye, it grew from 12 meters tall to 100 meters tall. The trunk expanded rapidly, and it took several people to wrap their arms around it. On the cherry tree, glittering and translucent cherries hung all over the branches. Each one was the size of fist, black and red, exuding an attractive luster. At a glance, it made people salivate. The sound of the zither stopped. Sun Hao looked up, his pupils contracted, and his face was full of shock. Such a big one, this cherry tree, at least tens of thousands of gene. Sun Hao stood up, walked to the cherry tree, and picked 2. Rumon, come, taste one. He took a light bite. The black and red juice burst all over his mouth. The unique cherry fragrance surged, sweet with a slight sourness, and sour with sweetness. It was simply delicious. After eating one, he wanted to eat the next one. Without hesitation, Sun Hao picked another one. He ate until his stomach couldn't hold it anymore, so Sun Hao stopped. So many cherries, I can't finish them all at once. Rumung, why don't you help me, and we make cherry wine together? Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. Huang Rumung nodded, waved her right hand, and the cherries flew up and hovered in the sky. The spring water gushed out, mixed with the cherries, and began to wash. After cleaning, draining the water, and putting it in a large jar. Because Huang Rumung was an immortal, it was very simple to do this. Next was the fermentation time. This time usually took a few days. Soon, each jar was sealed and placed there. There were hundreds of large jars. I wonder if I can accelerate the fermentation by playing the zither. Thinking like this, Sun Hao sat down cross-legged and began to play. After a song, Sun Hao was surprised to find that the fermentation time was neither too early nor too late, just right. Rumung, help me filter, leaving only the wine. Yes, young master. Huang Rumung waved her right hand, and hundreds of jars of cherry wine flew up and entangled in the sky. The residues were separated and fell into the orchard, becoming good fertilizer. A moment later, hundreds of jars of cherry wine appeared in front of Sun Hao. At a glance, it was black with red like wine. The cherry fruit fragrance mixed with the wine fragrance made people feel refreshed when they smelled it. In the wine, immortal power lingered, shining, and extremely beautiful. It would be nice if there were some small jade bottles. Sun Hao muttered to himself, "Young master, what's so difficult about this?" After speaking, Huang Ruming's figure flashed and disappeared instantly. When she appeared again, she held a mountain-like boulder in her hand. The boulder was so big that it was hundreds of meters high, stunning Sun Hao. "Young master, how big do you need the jade bottles?" Huang Ruming asked. "So big." Sun Hao took out a jade bottle and handed it to Huang Ruming. "Yes, young master." Huang Ruming grabbed with her right hand. Kacha, the boulder cracked. One by one, jade bottles flew down, piling up like a hill. Even the bottle cap was seamlessly sealed. Is this the strength of an immortal? It's incredible. With a gentle wave of his hand, countless jade bottles were created. Sun Hao muttered to himself, his eyes full of brilliance. "Rumung, pack up all the wine." "Yes, young master." After speaking, Huang Rumung waved her right hand, and more than 10,000 bottles of wine appeared in front of Sun Hao. "Rumung, how many bottles are there?" "More than 13,000 bottles." Huang Rumung said. "So much? If you sell it, you can get a lot of immortal crystals, and at the same time, you can also harvest the blessing point. Then take this to Zhongzhou and sell it. The sooner I collect the blessing point, the sooner I can embark on the road of cultivation." Sun Hao muttered to himself, thinking secretly, "Rumung, you put these away first. In addition, please help me ask Miss Yaolan to come over." Sun Hao said, "Yes, young master." Huang Rumung waved her hand, put away the cherry wine, and hurried away. After a while, the flower fairy stood in front of Sun Hao with a respectful face. "Young master, are you looking for me?" The flower fairy bowed and saluted. "Miss Yaolan, we need to leave tomorrow. I don't know when we will be back. If you have time, please help me take care of the flowers here, and at the same time, help me feed the chicken." "Young master, no problem. Leave these things to me." The flower fairy patted her chest. "Thank you." Sun Hao gave a look. Huang Rumung waved her right hand, and countless soul-devouring insects flew out and piled in front of the flower fairy. "Miss Xiaolan, recently Xiaoying likes to eat insects. You can feed her with these insects," Sun Hao said. As soon as these words came out, the flower fairy's body trembled. "Young master, these are all soul-devouring insects. I don't have your strength. I can't suppress them." "Okay." The flower fairy nodded helplessly. "By the way, Miss Xiaolan, there are fruits, vegetables, tea leaves, and other things here. You can pick whatever you want. Don't be polite." "Young master, how can this be? What's wrong with that? These things can be planted at any time, and it will be a waste if you don't pick them." "Thank you, young master. Also, if anyone comes to me, just say that I went to the Supreme Court in Zhongzhou." "Okay, young master." Chapter 245. Supreme General Courtyard in the main hall. Principal Zhongli Lang, with hundreds of protectors, stood respectfully on the square. "Hey, Zhongli Jing Tian's arrival. This is not a good thing." Zhongli Lang muttered to himself, his face full of worry. A moment later, buzz, the sky shook with layers of ripples, and a huge immortal boat stopped in midair. More than a dozen figures flew down from the immortal boat and landed in front of Zhongli Lang. The person at the head was a young man in a blue robe. He was Zhongli Jing Tian. "Greetings, Special Envoy." Zhongli Lang, with a group of protectors, cupped their fists and saluted. "No need for formalities, Zhongli Lang. Come with me. I have something to ask you." Zhongli Jing Tian said. "Yes, Special Envoy." Zhongli Lang followed behind Zhongli Jing Tian and came to the main hall. More than a dozen followers stood on both sides, full of power. Zhongli Jing Tian looked at Zhongli Lang and said, Zhongli Lang, I heard that the Xianyuan family and the Mu family have become supreme holy lands. Is there such a thing? Special envoy, you want to... Zhongli Lang's words were not finished. He saw a figure instantly appear in front of him. A slap, fast as lightning, slapped heavily on Zhongli Lang's face. Ha! Zhongli Lang's body flew backward and hit the ground hard. A few teeth flew out in an instant, sprinkling on the ground like hail. Young master asked you. Just answer. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. The person who made the move, like a ghost, gradually disappeared. Immortal? On Zhongli Lang's face, a touch of fear flashed away. He struggled to stand up and stood respectfully in front of Zhongli Jing Tian. It is true. Supreme Holy Land? Zhongli Jing Tian raised the corner of his mouth, revealing a smile on his face. In that case, then these two supreme holy lands are this young master's. When Zhongli Lang heard this, his face changed dramatically. Special envoy, you must not. Presumptuous. The shadow floated quickly, and it looked like it was about to slap Zhongli Lang's face. At this time, Zhongli Jing Tian waved his right hand and stopped the shadow. Why not? Special envoy, those two supreme holy lands, that is the work of the godly cunning immortal. We rashly occupy them. That is disrespectful to the godly cunning immortal. You will be punished by the godly cunning immortal. Zhongli Lang said. Godly cunning immortal? Zhongli Jing Tian frowned slightly, revealing a thoughtful expression. A moment later, he shook his head. I've never heard of such a person. The supreme sacred land was created by him? Zhongli Lang, you actually believe these words? Zhongli Jing Tian asked. Lord Envoy, it's true. Zhongli Lang told him about the godly cunning immortal one by one. The more Zhongli Jing Tian listened, the more obvious his smile became. Ha ha! Zhongli Jing Tian raised his head to the sky and laughed heartily. He looked at Zhongli Lang as if looking at a country bumpkin. Zhongli Lang, have you ever seen the godly cunning immortal? No. Zhongli Lang shook his head slightly. Hee, you haven't seen it, but you say that the godly cunning immortal is like a god? Earth-suppressing evil? Save Jianyang? Kill the demon Ancestor? Zhengxi Prefecture? Only you people would believe this. Zhongli Jing Tian shook his head continuously. Lord Envoy, the godly cunning immortal, all right. With a light shout, Zhongli Lang immediately shut his mouth. Tomorrow, you summon the Xianyuan family and the Mu family over, saying that there is something important to discuss. Do you understand? Zhongli Jing Tian said. But, what? You dare not listen to the young master's words. Seeing the black shadows slap, Zhongli Lang reluctantly closed his mouth. Central State's sacred land, Zhongfu Immortal City. The escape light was like rain, and the flying boats were woven. People came and went in an endless stream. As the center of the Tianluo continent, the Zhongfu Immortal City was extremely prosperous. On this day, Sun Hao and Huang Rumeng walked side by side on the street. Their eyes swept around, and their faces showed a trace of shock. That is, suddenly, Sun Hao raised his eyebrows. He saw that in the center of the Zhongfu Immortal City, there were two Optimus Prime pillars erected on the spot. There were many cultivators flying up and down around these two Optimus Prime pillars. The height of the pillars was several hundred meters, and it was particularly dazzling in the Zhongfu Immortal City. Young master, that's them building a statue. Huang Rumeng said. Building a statue? So these are the two legs of the statue? Sun Hao asked. That's right. As soon as these words came out, Sun Hao was shocked in place. Didn't it mean that this statue was at least 1,000 meters tall? Hiss! Sun Hao took a breath of cold air, his face full of shock. Building such a tall statue, only this world would seem so easy, right? Rumeng, let's go to the tea house first. Sun Hao said. The tea house, as a good place to inquire about news, naturally couldn't be missed. Okay, young master. The two walked straight into a tea house and found a place to sit down. In a few months, the statue of the godly cunning immortal will be built soon. Yes, we can finally see the true appearance of the godly cunning immortal. It's not easy. Hearing these conversations, Sun Hao raised his eyebrows. and his eyes flickered. In this Zhongfu immortal city, the name of the godly cunning immortal was so loud. It seemed that the godly cunning immortal had saved a lot of humans. He must become the disciple of such an immortal. Sun Hao secretly made a decision. He waved to a man. "Brother, can you tell me about the godly cunning immortal?" As soon as these words came out, wow, all eyes swept on Sun Hao. That expression was like looking at a country bumpkin. "You don't even know about the godly cunning immortal?" The man asked. "Naturally, I know some, but I want to know more. Can you tell me?" Sun Hao asked. "Of course, there's no problem." The man's eyes were full of fiery eyes, and he spoke with confidence and assurance. Sun Hao listened secretly, frowning slightly from time to time. "What? The dragon race actually wants to slaughter the West Prefecture Immortal City. Damn it. It's too much. If it weren't for the godly cunning immortal, I'm afraid the West Prefecture Immortal City would have been destroyed. If I can cultivate, I must be like the godly cunning immortal." Sun Hao clenched his fists, and his eyes revealed an incomparably fiery gaze. When he heard that the godly cunning immortal penetrated the void and destroyed the demon Ancestor with a finger of great magical power, his body trembled slightly with excitement. He didn't hear anything about the music playing after that. "Young master, you don't know. There's a recent thing that's even more amazing." "Southern region, young master, do you know?" The man asked. "I know." Sun Hao nodded. Something big happened in the southern region when the demon Ancestor Ingo was about to destroy the entire South Prefecture Immortal City. The Flower Fairy made a move. Just one move, and the demon Ancestor Ingo was smashed. The Flower Fairy was ordered by the godly cunning immortal, and this time, in the end, it was the godly cunning immortal who saved everyone. The godly cunning immortal's means are so terrifying. After the death of the demon Ancestor Ingo, it didn't take long for the southern region to return to normal, and no one had nightmares anymore. All this is thanks to the godly cunning immortal. He is a god who saves people from suffering. Sun Hao didn't listen to the latter words at all. In his ears, there were only 3 words: the Flower Fairy. It seems that the Flower Fairy knows the godly cunning immortal. Why go back this time? I'll ask her. I think I can ask the whereabouts of the godly cunning immortal. Sun Hao thought secretly, the light flickering. Chapter 246. The godly cunning immortal is a supreme god. Because of his protection, we could be safe and sound. In a few months, the statue of the godly cunning immortal will be built. At that time, you can pray to the godly cunning immortal. At this point, the man's eyes shone with admiration. Sun Hao nodded slightly, took out a jade bottle from his arms, and handed it to the man. "Brother, thank you. There's no need. Just tell me something that everyone knows. How can I accept your gift?" The man waved his hand. "A little homemade fruit wine. I hope you don't mind." Sun Hao said. "Wine? I like this thing. Thank you, young master." "No need." Sun Hao got up and said goodbye to the man. He quickly left with Huang Roman. This young master has an extraordinary bearing. He must be the young master of a great family. Unfortunately, he's just a mortal. I wonder what kind of wine he gave me. Opening the jade bottle, the man was dumbfounded. Boom! His heart thumped violently, and beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. Without any hesitation, he quickly hid the jade bottle in his soul space. This is probably supreme immortal wine. The young master actually gave away such a peerless treasure just like that. The man muttered to himself for a long time before he calmed down. Outside the tea house, "Young master, are you going to see that statue?" Huang Ruming asked. "Not bad." Sun Hao nodded. "The one who built the statue of the godly cunning immortal must have a portrait of the godly cunning immortal. We need to find a way to get the portrait of the godly cunning immortal." Huang Ruming's expression froze, and a trace of worry appeared on her face. If the young master knows that he is the godly cunning immortal, will his Tao heart be broken? Will this affect the young master? Huang Ruming muttered to herself, following behind Sun Hao, her face full of worry. Below the statue of the godly cunning immortal, a group of people were walking. The leader was the special envoy of the Supreme Court, Zhongli Jingtian. He glanced at the 2 feet of the statue, which were like 2 heavenly pillars, and a hint of anger appeared on his face. Godly cunning immortal, it's all godly cunning immortal. This young master will destroy your statue today. Let's see what you can do to me. After saying that, Zhongli Jingtian soared into the sky and rushed towards the statue. Stop! There was a loud shout. Immediately after, an old man blocked Zhongli Jingtian's path. This is a construction site. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed to enter. An idler? Zhongli Jingtian sneered, and his killing intent flashed for a moment. You must be the person in charge of the construction of the statue. If that's the case, I'll kill you first. After saying that, Zhongli Jingtian stretched out a finger and pointed it forward. Boom! With a loud bang, heaven and earth trembled. A white beam of light shot towards the old man. The old man let out a furious roar and used all sorts of methods to block that beam of light. However, it was useless. It was only for a moment. Bang! The old man's body directly exploded into a bloody mist, and he died on the spot. When the cultivators below saw this scene, they couldn't help but widen their eyes in disbelief. Damn it! Master Lu has been killed. What? Who is that slut? How dare you kill Master Lu? Kill him! A group of immortal cultivators soared into the sky and surrounded Zhongli Jingtian. Oh, a bunch of ants. Do you want to stop this young master? Zhongli Jingtian revealed a playful smile and said faintly, Damn brat, you killed Master Lu and still dare to speak so arrogantly. You must die today. Don't talk nonsense with him. Let's go together and kill him. Hundreds of immortal cultivators rushed over quickly. With just you guys? Zhongli Jingtian raised the corner of his mouth and casually stretched out his hand. The dazzling white ball of light quickly formed, and in an instant, it exploded in front of Zhongli Ying. Buzz! The white light flashed, and everything returned to calm. The bodies of hundreds of immortal cultivators collapsed into powder, disappeared on the spot. Around, there was dead silence. Everyone stared blankly at the sky, their expressions changing. Who is he? What does he want to do? Damn it! Do all kinds of evil in the human race's territory. Doesn't the Supreme Court care? He wants to destroy the statue of the godly cunning immortal. Damn it. These words just finished. Boom. Heaven and earth trembled. 2 pillars of several hundred meters exploded in an instant. Boom. Pieces of or blasted to the ground and burst open. The entire Central Prefecture Immortal City was buzzing and trembling. Everyone looked at this scene, and their faces changed dramatically. Damn it, destroying the statue of the godly cunning immortal. This is a great disrespect. That kid must die. No matter what his identity is, he dares to disrespect the godly cunning immortal. Even if I die, I will fight with you. One by one, the immortal cultivators soared into the sky and surrounded Zhongli Jingtian. On everyone's face, there was a look of resentment. In the blink of an eye, it was densely packed with immortal cultivators. With just you guys? Zhongli Jingtian smiled slightly, showing a look of indifference. In his hand, a white light kept moving. All of you, go to hell for this young master. Watching, Zhongli Jingtian was ready to blast everyone to death. At this time, a black shadow appeared in front of Zhongli Jingtian. Young master, no. What? Even you want to stop me from killing ants? Zhongli Jingtian's face showed a trace of displeasure. Young master, you are here to sharpen your mind. If this matter is known by the patriarch, I'm afraid, the black shadow said. Damn it. Zhongli Jingtian's face showed a touch of fear, unwilling to let go of his hand. He walked forward with a smile and looked at everyone with a playful face. Ents, you are lucky. This young master is in a good mood today. Let you go. Zhongli Jingtian's voice was faint and spread to everyone's ears. As soon as these words came out, there was an uproar all around. Everyone pointed at Zhongli Jingtian and roared angrily. Seeing this scene, Zhongli Jingtian looked indifferent and didn't care at all. Let's go. With a wave of his right hand, he took a few attendants and disappeared in place after the sky shook up layers of ripples. Damn it, he ran away, destroying the statue of the godly cunning immortal. Damn it. Who the hell is he? How can he be so disrespectful to the godly cunning immortal? He killed so many people. He must be severely punished. The voice of resentment kept ringing. The center of the entire city was extremely noisy. When Sun Hao and the other two rushed to the front of the statue, it was already chaotic. After a little inquiry, Sun Hao knew the ins and outs of the matter. Damn it, it's fine to be so ruthless to his own race. But he even destroyed the statue of the godly cunning immortal. The godly cunning immortal is the light of the human race. He destroyed the hope of the human race like this. This kind of person must die. Sun Hao secretly clenched his fists, and his joints exploded. This kind of person was arrogant and despotic, killing innocent people indiscriminately. He simply didn't put the godly cunning immortal in his eyes. He blamed himself for not having the strength. Otherwise, he would find this kid and beat him to death. Rumung, help me find it. Where did that kid go just now? Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. Huang Rumung released her divine sense and enveloped the entire Zhongfu immortal city. Chapter 247. I didn't see it. I must find it. Sun Hao frowned slightly, revealing a thoughtful look. By the way, from beginning to end, it seems that I haven't seen anyone from the Supreme Court come. Right? Shouldn't they take care of this matter? Go to the Supreme Court and ask. Thinking of this, Sun Hao looked at Huang Rumung. So, I am the Tao Ancestor, Chapter 247. I am the godly cunning immortal. In the middle of typing, please wait a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page again to get the latest updates. Chapter 248. In the east of the Tianluo continent, there was a boundless sea called the Azure Sea. In the vast sky above the sea, a figure was flying at high speed. This figure was Luo Luoyan. In another 10 days, we should be able to reach the Penglai continent. When I go to Dark Azura Hall, I should be able to find Old Man Jiuyo. Young Master's task should be completed in another 5 years. Luo Luoyan muttered to herself with a happy face. After using up all of her celestial power, she stopped, sat cross-legged in the sky, and began to recover. Suddenly, she raised her eyebrows and suddenly opened her eyes. Seeing the figure in front of him, he was pleasantly surprised. Senior Ruoshi? The person who came was Taoist Ruoshi. She smiled and walked forward. Fellow Taoist Luo, I've finally found you. Senior Ruoshi, did you break through? Luo Luoyan looked surprised. Not bad. Taoist Ruo, she looked in the direction of the great monster mountain with a face full of worship. All of this is thanks to the young master. Not only did I break through, but my strength has also improved a few steps. Now I have reached the heaven's celestial stage. Taoist Ruo, she said. What? Luo Luoyan's eyes widened, and her face was full of surprise. Fellow Taoist Luo, when we return this time, you will also be able to successfully break through. Let's go. Let's go find Old Man Jiuyo together. Taoist Ruoshi said. Thank you, Senior. Luo Luoyan clasped her fists. You're welcome. From now on, you can call me Fellow Taoist Ruoshi. Taoist Ruoshi said. How can this be? Luo Luoyan was shocked. Why not? Your disciple is not any weaker than me. Taoist Ruoshi said. As soon as these words came out, Luo Luoyan was stunned again and could not calm down for a long time. Young master, just what kind of existence are you? How could you be so terrifying? Young master, thank you. Luo Luoyan looked in the direction of the great demon mountain and did not take back her gaze for a long time. Done? Let's go. Thank you, Taoist Ruoshi. You're welcome. Taoist Ruo, she waved her horsetail whisk and instantly disappeared with Luo Luoyan. Penglai continent, Dark Azura Hall, the back mountain of the forbidden area, in front of a pond of blue water. An old man wearing a bamboo hat and a straw raincoat was sitting on a rock with his eyes closed. He meditated quietly. Shape? He was like a wooden sculpture. This person was Old Man Jiuyo. In front of him, there was a fish basket. A fishing rod was thrown into the water. On the water, wisps of white smoke rose, making it look like a fairyland. Suddenly, Old Man Jiuyo's white beard trembled slightly. His mouth slowly opened. Ah, chew! He sneezed a few times in a row. Who's scolding me again? Old man Juyo opened his eyes and counted with his fingers. After a while, he shook his head slightly, a look of disappointment on his face. You can't see through me? I still can't figure it out. This mysterious aura, it's getting thicker and thicker. Who is it? How could it be so terrifying? Old man Juyo muttered to himself. He shook his head. Just as he was about to close his eyes, buzz, the air in front of him rippled. Two figures? Walk out of the ripples? He stood directly in front of old man Juyo. These two people, it was Taoist Ruo Shi and Luo Luyan. See the two of them? Old man Juyo raised his eyebrows. A hint of fear flashed in his eyes. Who are you? Why are you so good at this old man's territory? Old man Juyo said. Old man, stop pretending. I am Ling Su. Taoist Ruo Shi said. As soon as these words came out, old man Juyo's eyes widened, full of disbelief. You're Ling Su? After looking for a while, old man Juyo nodded slightly. It is indeed his aura? I didn't expect Ling Su to be a woman. What's wrong with a woman? Do you look down on women? Taoist Ruo Shi's voice was cold. Okay, Ling Su, I was wrong, okay? Old man Juyo said. I will be called Ruo Shi from now on. I will change my name. Taoist Ruo Shi said. Ruo Shi is Ruo Shi? Why did you come to me this time? Old man Juyo asked. Senior. Luo Luyan stood up. This time we came to you on the order of the godly cunning immortal to take you fishing. Old man Juyo's expression stagnated. Looking at Luo Luyan, the pressure whistled and pressed on Luo Luyan. Who are you? Is it your place to speak here? In the next second, old man Juyo was horrified to find that the pressure he released had no effect. Luo Luyan stood in place, unaffected. How is this possible? How can a 10-step half-immortal resist my pressure? Old man Juyo's pupils contracted, full of disbelief. Okay. With a light shout, the pressure on old man Juyo's body was withdrawn. He looked at Taoist Ruo Shi in horror. Don't you? I broke through. Now, I'm a heavenly immortal. Taoist Ruo Shi said. Old man Juyo's face changed drastically, stunned in place, and did not respond for a long time. Heavenly? Immortal? I haven't seen Taoist Ling Su, who is ranked 8th, actually far surpasses me. This is impossible, right? Old man Juyo took a few breaths of cold air, and it took a long time to calm down. Seeing all this today, it was incredible, like a dream, enough to shock himself for several years. Who is the godly cunning immortal? Old man Juyo asked. The godly cunning immortal is an unimaginable existence, and the reason why I was able to break through is all because of the godly cunning immortal. He saved Jiangyang City. Taoist Ruo Shi roughly told the legend of the godly cunning immortal. Hearing this, old man Juyo was dumbfounded and did not recover for a while. Calculating everything, omnipotent. If there really is such a person in this world, how can the human race be weak to this extent? Fabricate, really fabricate. Old man Juyo muttered to himself, sneering in his heart. However, there was no change on his face. So, the godly cunning immortal wants to find this old man to fish. Old man Juyo asked. That's right. Luo Luyan nodded. In today's world, the fishing Tao is the most powerful, and only you can fish with the godly cunning immortal. Old man Juyo's face showed a touch of arrogance. This is not false. Presumably, the godly cunning immortal's fishing Tao is very powerful, right? Of course, it can be said to be superb. Luo Luyan said. Acme of perfection? Hee. On the entire Xiang star, the fishing Tao, who else but me? Who can compete with this old man's fishing Tao? She actually said that the godly cunning immortal's fishing Tao was superb? Isn't she ashamed? In that case, then compete with the godly cunning immortal and slap your face hard. It would be best to compete with him. That would be more interesting. Thinking like this, old man Juyo nodded secretly. So powerful. Then this old man would like to see the godly cunning immortal. Old man Juyo said. Senior, you agree? Luo Luyan's eyes lit up. Naturally. Old man Juyo nodded. In that case, without further ado, let's set off immediately. Okay. Old man Juyo waved his right hand and collected all the fishing gear into the soul space. Chapter 249. Central State, Supreme General Courtyard, in a large hall. Principal Zhongli Lang sat in the main seat, and on the left and right were the representatives of the Xianyuan family and the Mu family. In the Xianyuan family, it was headed by the patriarch, Xianyuan Yi. The Mu family was headed by the acting patriarch, Mu Bing's father, Mu Haoran. Principal, why did you call us here this time? Xianyuan Yi said. Yes, Principal, I heard that you came to discuss with us about fighting against the evil demons. Is that true? Mu Haoran said. Zhongli Lang sat in the main seat. A look of shame flashed across his face. After a while, he returned to normal and smiled at the two patriarchs. Everyone calm down. Let's have a drink first. Principal, the two evil and demon races are eyeing us covetously. How can we be in the mood to drink? What the Mu patriarch said makes sense. Since the godly cunning immortal has issued a decree, we must eradicate the evil demons as our duty. Principal, what is the matter? If there is nothing important, we will leave first. Us two, the representatives of the two great families, immediately stood up and were about to leave. A laugh rang out. This sound was obviously not loud, but it was mixed with terrifying pressure. The expressions of the two patriarchs changed slightly, looking for the source of the sound, and their pupils shrank. They saw a young man walking towards the main hall step by step with several followers. Every step he took, there would be a roar, making everyone's heart suddenly tighten, as if it was about to stop beating. This young man was Zhongli Jingtian. The one who called you here is not Xianyuan Lang, but this young master. Zhongli Jingtian strode to the main seat. Xianyuan Lang hurriedly made way and retreated to the side. On his face, there was a bitter expression. After sitting down, Zhongli Jingtian waved his right hand, and the pressure on everyone instantly disappeared. Xianyuan Yi secretly wiped his cold sweat, his face revealing a look of fear. He has not reached the immortal realm, but there is such pressure, this strength is extremely not simple. Mu Haoran looked at Zhongli Jingtian and let out a long sigh of relief, his face revealing a touch of uneasiness. May I ask who you are? Xianyuan Yi asked. This young master's name is Zhongli Jingtian. You should have heard of it, right? Zhongli Jingtian said. As soon as these words came out, Xianyuan Yi's face changed drastically. Of course he had heard of this name. Zhongli Jingtian was a famous hedonistic son of the Zhongli family. He was arrogant and despotic. Even the head of the Zhongli family had to fear him. It was rumored that even their ancestor, Zhonglizi, did not dare to offend him. Because behind Zhongli Jingtian, there was another great identity. He didn't expect that such a figure would come to the Great Law Continent. He brought our two great clans together. Could it be? Thinking of this, Xianyuan Yi revealed a strong sense of uneasiness. Now, the Ancestor and Shika-chan had gone to the Dragon Tomb and had yet to return. What should he do? Xianyuan Yi muttered to himself and thought to himself, so it's young Master Zhongli. May I know why you're looking for us? Xianyuan Yi asked. Just a small matter. Zhongli Jingtian showed a faint smile, revealing a casual look. I don't have enough cultivation resources recently, so I want to borrow some from you. Borrow some? You're robbing me by force. Relying on his identity, he brazenly robbed others? Damn it. Young Master Zhongli, I have some here. After that, Xianyuan Yi took out a space ring and handed it over. Oh, Zhongli Jingtian raised the corner of his mouth, picked up the space ring, opened it, and his face was full of sneers. Xianyuan Yi, are you trying to dismiss a beggar? You dare to take out a mere 100 immortal crystals. Zhongli Jingtian threw the space ring on the ground and looked at him coldly. Young Master Zhongli, don't hide it anymore. Tell me, what is your purpose in looking for us? Mu Haoran stood up and said. Good, straightforward. Zhongli Jingtian clapped his hands quickly. His expression gradually became cold. I'm looking for you for two things. First, each of you give me 100,000 immortal crystals. Second, your family members must immediately move out and return your residence to this young master. Zhongli Jing Tian said. What? The representatives of the two great clans stood up one after another, unable to restrain their anger. Zhongli Jing Tian, you're going too far. Do you really think we're afraid of you? Zhongli Jing Tian, others may be afraid of you, but we are not. This is not the Zhongli family. It's not your turn to tell us what to do. When Zhongli Jing Tian saw all this, a playful smile appeared on his face, but he didn't care about it at all. His eyes were fixed on the two patriarchs, motionless. Xin Yuan Yi and Mu Haoren waved their hands at the same time, and the elders behind them immediately shut up. What if we don't want to? Xin Yuan Yi said. Don't want to? Zhongli Jing Tian smiled slightly. Then it's up to you. However, this young master would like to advise you. For one less immortal crystal, I will kill one of your clansmen. At noon tomorrow, if there are still people in the mansion, then this young master will go on a killing spree and slaughter everyone inside. Zhongli Jing Tian said with a smile. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding air was stagnant. The elders of the two great clans clenched their fists, and their joints exploded. Damn it, this kind of scum, why didn't anyone come and manage them? They actually took a fancy to our supreme, holy land. This was given to us by the godly, cunning, immortal. Even if we die, we must protect it. What? Not convinced? Want to kill this young master? If you have the ability, then make a move. Try and touch this young master. Zhongli Jing Tian said with a smile, his demeanor extremely arrogant. Anyone who saw him wanted to kill him. It was indeed so. Who, in an instant, the four elders split into four directions and went straight to Zhongli Jing Tian. Each of them used a killing move to take Zhongli Jing Tian's life. No! Zhongli Lang looked at this scene and secretly said that it was not good. It was just that, or was it useful? The corners of Zhongli Jing Tian's mouth raised slightly, revealing a cold smile. This is what you guys did to this young master first. Father, you can't blame me for this. I am protecting myself. Zhongli Jing Tian smiled slightly and stretched out his hand unhurriedly. A ray of light darted at the tips of his fingers. Pressing forward, a dazzling light bloomed, making people unable to look directly at it. At this moment, time seemed to stand still. The four elders who made a move, their bodies stagnated, motionless. Even their consciousness seemed to react slower. Boom! Boom! Four explosions sounded. The bodies of the four elders burst open one by one like bombs, dying tragically on the spot. Hee. Zhongli Jing Tian stood up and walked toward the two patriarchs step by step. Dare to attack this young master. Do you know what this means? No one dares to say anything even if I destroy your two great families. Zhongli Jing Tian waved his right hand, and Xin Yuan Yi's body flew out uncontrollably, falling in front of Zhongli Jing Tian. Boom! Stepping on Xin Yuan Yi's face, Zhongli Jing Tian looked at him condescendingly. In my eyes, you are all ants. Originally, you don't even have the right to speak to this young master. If it weren't for Father, would this young master be so restrained? Do you know, this young master has been waiting for this opportunity. Today, no one can save you. After saying that, Zhongli Jing Tian pointed his right hand, and a white beam of light danced at his fingertips. Chapter 250. My lord, you can't. Meanwhile, Zhongli Lang ran over and stood before the black-robed man. What, you want to stop me? The black-robed man looked at Zhongli Lang with a ridiculing gaze, and his voice was icy cold. Sir, you can't. If you do this, you will regret it. If the godly cunning immortal learns about this, the consequences will be unimaginable. Zhongli Lang knelt before the black-robed man, and he supported the black-robed man's arm with both hands, preventing him from making a move. The black-robed man, smiled slightly. Godly cunning immortal. Isn't he able to calculate everything? I'm sure he knows about these things, right? If that's the case, why hasn't he appeared after I killed a few people? I didn't save you. Also, yesterday, the Iron Fur Spirit Wolf destroyed so many half-immortals. Where is the godly cunning immortal you mentioned? In my opinion, even if there really is a godly cunning immortal, when he sees this seat, he will also kneel down and beg for mercy, shivering. The black-robed man looked down at Zhongli Lang with a sneer on his face. Since you want to stand out, I'll kill you first. As soon as he finished speaking, the black-robed man stretched out his hand and pressed it down towards Zhongli Lang. Phew! A wisp of black light directly blasted onto Zhongli Lang's body. Bang! Zhongli Lang was like a kite that had its string cut, and he was blasted flying before smashing heavily onto the ground. His chest was caved in, and all the bones in his body were broken. He was seriously injured and on the verge of death. Not dead. The black-robed man's expression froze, and a trace of surprise appeared on his face. Wait till I'm done with them. Then I'll deal with you. The black-robed man looked at Xianyuan and stepped on his face. Aunt, do you have any last words? Bah! If you want to kill me, then kill me. If I frown, I'm not a man. Xianyuan said, Haha, if you want to die so badly, I'll fulfill your wish. With that said, the black-robed man waved his right hand, and a black light flickered at his fingertips. My lord? No. At this moment, a sound was heard. The black-robed man looked up. His expression changed slightly. Zhongli Lang stood up once more. He was the one who spoke. All the injuries on his body were healed. The grand hour of time? Go back to the past. Interesting. As soon as he finished speaking, the black-robed man instantly appeared in front of Zhongli Lang. He stretched out his fist and punched him hard in the face. Old thing, do you think I won't dare to kill you just because your surname is Zhong? Even Zhong Lizi has to be courteous to me. Since you really want to die, this seat will fulfill your wish. The black-robed man punched towards Zhongli Lang, hit him until he saw stars. Blood splattered everywhere. Overall appearance, it was incomparably miserable. Zhongli Lang was about to be beaten to death. At this moment, Principal Zhang, a cry of surprise, it arrived quickly, walked into the main hall. It was a purple-robed man. Did he see this? He could not help but be scared silly on the spot. The purple-robed man stared at the black-robed man. His body could not stop trembling. Ah! The purple-robed man screamed. Turning into an afterimage, Zhang Xin quickly left. Murder? The demons are killing people. The Grand Dean is going to be killed by the evil spirit. Help! His loud cries resounded throughout the world. At this moment, the entire hall, there was dead silence. Demon? Murder? The black-robed man released Zhongli Lang and took a step forward. In an instant, he disappeared from his original spot. When he appeared again, he had already arrived in the sky above the Supreme Court. Looking around, his face could not help but change slightly. He saw, in the sky in all directions, there were cultivators. It was so densely packed that it was impossible to see the end. Who is he? Why is the aura on his body so evil? He has the aura of an iron-furred wolf. It was definitely him who released the iron-furred wolf yesterday. Damn it, this kind of person can't live in this world. The noise kept ringing. The whole place was in an uproar. Every cultivator showed a look of righteous indignation. The black-robed man's mouth slightly curved, looking at the crowd of cultivators, his face full of a playful smile. So what if it's me? After speaking, the black-robed man waved his right hand. Buzz! The sky shook, and in front of him, a teleportation vortex formed. An iron-furred wolf with a height of tens of meters emerged from the ripples, like a giant mountain across the sky. Its blood-red eyes looked coldly at the crowd. The endless pressure formed a gust of wind, spreading in all directions, shrouding the world. At this moment, boundless coldness enveloped everyone's body. Everyone's pupils shrank, and their faces changed drastically. This is not a half-immortal level savage beast, but an immortal level savage beast. My God, to be able to control an immortal level savage beast, isn't that person an immortal? What should we do? Their bodies trembled. Fear and despair surged all over their bodies. Don't be afraid. Gather your firepower and attack at the same time. At this moment, Mushiji flew in front of the iron-furred wolf and shouted. His voice was like thunder rolling out. This sound awakened all the cultivators. Rise! Following Mushiji's loud shout, all the cultivators moved together. Everyone's movements were neat and orderly, and they attacked at the same time. Swish, hundreds of thousands of rays of light broke through the sky and arrived quickly. In an instant, they hit the iron-furred wolf. Boom! A dull explosion resounded through the sky. The dazzling light made people unable to open their eyes. The shockwave spread layer by layer and exploded in all directions. Buzz! Buzz! All the cultivators made their moves at the same time, forming a huge shield in front of them. The shield swayed, as if it would break at any time. When everything stopped, everyone opened their eyes and saw the scene in front of them. They couldn't help but be startled. What? Not dead? No injuries at all? How is this possible? With so many people attacking, even an immortal should be dead. Everyone's eyes widened, revealing an unbelievable expression. Only to see, the iron-furred wolf stood in place, without a trace of injury on its body. A bunch of ants. Do you think you can hurt my little wolf? Since all of you want to destroy me, then receive my wrath. Speaking up to hear, the black-robed man looked at the iron-furred wolf and pointed at the group of cultivators. Little wolf, kill, leave no one alive. As soon as these words came out, howl! The iron-furred wolf let out an excited roar. Gotcha! A series of joints exploded continuous. The iron-furred wolf's body rapidly expanded, and in an instant, it grew to 100 meters tall. Its whole body lit up with a dazzling red light. The shocking pressure spread all around. At this moment, the group of cultivators were like trapped in a quagmire, unable to move. This actually made me unable to produce the slightest resistance. Mu Shiji clenched his teeth and struggled frantically. However, it was useless. No matter how he tried, he couldn't move half a step. He could only watch the iron-furred wolf's claws fall from the sky, powerless to do anything. Sister Mu Bing, I didn't lose face. Godly cunning immortal. The person I want to see the most in this life is you. Goodbye. Mu Shiji closed his eyes, and 2 lines of tears fell from the corners of his eyes. Gotcha! The sky was like a mirror, shattering inch by inch. The huge claws fell down rapidly. Chapter 251. The sky-covering claws fell from the sky. It aimed at hundreds of cultivators and slapped down. Wherever it went, the space shattered inch by inch. The terrifying power destroyed the sky and the earth. A group of cultivators were crushed in place, unable to move at all. They could only watch the claws fall, powerless to do anything. Boom! It was a shock. This sound was not loud, but it shook everyone's ears and made them dizzy. Everything around them seemed to have lost its color and fell into a brief darkness. When everything stopped, everyone looked up, and their pupils couldn't help but contract. They saw the giant claw of the iron-fur wolf directly collapsed in place. It stared blankly at its own claws, stunned. Subsequently, woo, a lament resounded through heaven and earth. This sound woke everyone up with a start. I'm not dead, I'm still alive. Who saved us? It must be the godly, cunning, immortal who sent someone to save us. Thank you, godly, cunning, immortal. Exclamations kept ringing out. Mu Shiji touched his face, feeling that everything was extremely unreal. Godly, cunning, immortal, did you really save me? Mu Shiji muttered to himself, his eyes full of emotion. This is impossible. The man in black robe muttered to himself, with a look of disbelief. He was very clear about how strong an immortal-level savage beast was. How could its claws be broken so easily? When did a small-town Luo continent have such a strong person? Damn it! The man in black robe cursed, and fine beads of sweat overflowed on his forehead. His eyes swept around, and his divine sense shrouded. However, he didn't find any immortal-level powerhouse. Who is it? Playing tricks. If you have the guts, come out and fight with this seat. The man in black robe's voice was faint and spread in all directions. However, no one responded. In that case, kill. Little wolf, use your ultimate move and kill them all. The man in black robe roared loudly. As soon as these words came out, howl! The iron-fur wolf struggled to stand up. It howled to the sky. Its whole body lit up with a dazzling red glow. Every hair, it was as if it was burning red. Wisps of black lightning shot out from its mouth. Sizzle. Every strand of it exploded with its soul-stirring power. Every single strike caused the entire world to tremble. These black electric arcs gathered together. It formed a huge ball of black lightning. Swish, a black lightning ball descending from the sky. It exploded. The entire world instantly fell into endless darkness. Wait until everything calms down. Everyone came back to their senses. I'm not dead. I'm really not dead. Just who saved us? That's amazing. What's that? An exclamation rang out. Everyone narrowed their eyes and looked over, and they were instantly stunned. His eyes were filled with shock. They saw a white-robed youth step through the air, walking towards the black-robed man. The young man was 8 feet tall, handsome. There were no energy fluctuations coming from his body. With a wave of my hand, however, the Taoist rhyme continued to flow out. That carefree expression of his, he was like a god who controlled everything. It was Sun Hao. What is he holding in his hand? It was the black lightning ball. Sizzle. Terrifying power? It exploded at Sun Hao's fingertips. Every strand, it seemed to be able to destroy heaven and earth. Such a scene was seen in everyone's eyes. They couldn't help but feel their scalp explode. Cold sweat flowed. Who is this young master? What a powerful strength, such a terrifying blow. He actually caught it with his body. He's too strong. I can't see his strength. I'm afraid he is at least a profound immortal. So handsome. I wonder if this young master has a Tao companion. The light of worship flickered and never extinguished. Everyone's gaze, they all stared at Sun Hao, staring at him foolishly. This is impossible. The black-robed man looked at Sun Hao and kept shaking his head. Woo! The iron-haired wolf let out a sad cry, and its body shrank rapidly. Finally, it turned into a height of tens of meters, and the hair all over its body stood up. How? It kept growling at Sun Hao. It was like a vicious dog baring its teeth, ready to attack at any time. Sun Hao did not look sideways, calmly looked at the black-robed man, and walked forward step by step. The human race is weak and should be united. Some scum repeatedly bully the same race. Arrogant and despotic, insufferably arrogant. In front of other races, they bow and scrape without any dignity. The evil is rampant. The dragon race slaughters the human race. Who is it? Suppress the evil and save the human race? Who is it? Expel the dragon race and integrate the human race? These are all the godly, cunning immortal. He does not care about fame and fortune, regardless of the Tao heart. For the sake of the human race, he attacked again and again. Some people only know internal friction and don't know how to unite. How cold will the godly, cunning immortal be to know this? Sun Hao's voice was faint, resounding throughout the sky, reaching everyone's ears. When the group of cultivators heard this, they were moved. On the faces of many female cultivators, tears were already streaming down their faces. It's you. Sun Hao's words turned, and his eyes stared at the black-robed man. You are the scum of the human race. Learn a different method and bully your own race. Treat your own race as ants and kill them at will. Tell me, do you deserve to die? Now, you actually want to destroy hundreds of thousands of cultivators. What is the difference between you and the evil? Tell me, do you deserve to die? Today you must die. Sun Hao's cold eyes stared directly at the black-robed man. The black-robed man suddenly trembled and shook his head violently. Damn it, I was actually scared by a mortal. You want to deal with this seat with this kind of psychological attack. Little doll, you go back and drink some milk. Little wolf, go. The black-robed man pointed with his right hand. Whoosh! The iron fur wolf aimed at Sun Hao and rushed out, so fast that people couldn't react. Sun Hao smiled coldly and waved his right hand gently. I'll let you eat it yourself. Who? The black lightning ball from Sun Hao's hand rushed out and blasted on the iron fur wolf. Buzz! There was a shock. Heaven and earth lost color, and everyone was deaf. When everything returned to calm, where was the figure of the iron fur wolf? This impossible. The black-robed man's body trembled, and beads of sweat rolled down his forehead. The wolf cub was actually blasted into nothing. How'd he do it? He clearly didn't mobilize any power. It was just that the wolf cub's move couldn't have this kind of power. Now, what should I do? The black-robed man's legs trembled involuntarily. Humph, with the young master's support. What's there to be afraid of? Fight! The black-robed man snorted coldly, waved his hands, and countless electric lights condensed in his hands. However, Sun Hao glanced over. Who? The electric lights condensed in the black-robed man's hands disappeared. Impossible. The black-robed man looked at his hands in a daze, his face sallow, as if he was dead. The next second, he was even more silent and speechless. He was horrified to find that the immortal power in his body seemed to have lost contact and didn't listen to him. You, who the hell are you? The black-robed man pointed at Sun Hao, his voice trembling. Chapter 252. Who I am is not important. What's important is that you must die today. Sun Hao stood in front of the black-robed man and twisted him up with one hand. This hand seemed to be able to seal everything. At this moment, the black-robed man realized that he had lost all his strength. Even the words that came out of his mouth were barely audible. Die! Sun Hao raised his palm and slapped it at the black-robed man. Sensing the power that could destroy everything, the black-robed man's body trembled, and his expression changed dramatically. Young master, save me. Using all the strength in his body, the black-robed man shouted these words. After this sound, pa, pa, waves of applause came from above. Your strength is not bad. A young man in an embroidered robe descended from the sky with 4 men in black robes. Each of them exuded the aura of an immortal. The youth in the lead was Zhongli Jingtian. He was the one who applauded just now. Zhongli Jingtian smiled at Sun Hao and nodded with satisfaction. Seeing this scene, the expressions of the surrounding cultivators changed dramatically. 5 immortals, my god. When did celestial force become so worthless? What should we do? That young master is in danger. The onlookers stared at Sun Hao with worried faces. However, Sun Hao's hand speed did not slow down, and it fell directly on the black-robed man in his hand. Gotcha! There was an explosion. The black-robed man's brain burst open, and he died on the spot. Seeing this miserable scene, Sun Hao's face changed slightly, and he quickly turned his head. Although he had seen a horrible scene in Jianyang City, but this was his first time, so he felt a little uncomfortable. After taking a few quiet breaths, Sun Hao felt better. He raised his head and saw that everyone was rooted to the spot. The expressions on everyone's faces were similar. That kind of shock, that kind of surprise. Words could not describe it. He killed an immortal with a single punch. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, who would have believed it? What was shocking was not only Sun Hao's strength, but also his courage. He killed an immortal right in front of 5 immortals. Was he not giving them face at all? They would not rest until one of them was dead. Who could compare to such courage? Zhongli Jingtian stared blankly at this scene. The corners of his mouth twitched. Soon, he regained his composure and smiled as he walked forward. Hello, young master. My name is Zhongli Jingtian. Zhongli Jingtian said. As soon as these words came out. What? His name is Zhongli Jingtian? Oh my god, why is he here? He is an existence that even the number 1 immortal of the human race, Zhongli, fears. It is said that he came from the Bloodwolf star. He lives in the Zhongli family. No wonder he's surrounded by immortals. Cheers. It kept ringing. Everyone looked at Zhongli Jingtian with eyes filled with awe. Seeing this scene, Zhongli Jingtian raised his head slightly, showing a hint of pride on his face. Not good. Sun Hao stared at Zhongli Jingtian without the slightest politeness on his face. Are they your subordinates? Sun Hao gently tossed it. The corpse of the black-robed man fell heavily to the ground. It rolled beside Zhongli Jingtian's feet. What he did you instruct him? Sun Hao's voice was cold. Impudent. It was a loud shout. Behind Zhongli Jingtian, a black-robed man rushed over. In an instant, he was standing in front of Sun Hao, raising his palm and slapping down. You dare to disrespect the young master? Die. The next second, The black-robed man's face changed dramatically. His palm was caught by Sun Hao. He couldn't summon any strength at all. Gotcha! Sun Hao gently exerted force. The sound of bones breaking sounded. Young master, let's talk. Zhongli Jing Tian ran forward with a flattering face. Talk my ass. He wanted to kill me. We didn't stop him. And now you're being controlled by me? Why are you saying good things about me? Who do you think you are? Get lost. After saying that, Sun Hao raised his palm and slapped it directly. Boom! The black-robed man's head cracked. After his body twitched strangely a few times, there was no movement. Sun Hao's expression stagnated. Rumung, I wanted to kill him a few more times. Why did you kill him? AI, it seems that the tacit understanding is not enough. Sun Hao thought secretly, but his face did not change. Zhongli Jing Tian looked at this scene, and the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. Two balls of anger from the soles of his feet seemed to burst his chest. Kid, this young master intended to make friends with you, but you killed my servants again and again. Do you really think I'm easy to bully? Zhongli Jing Tian's voice was cold. Just you? Do you deserve it? You sent servants to kill innocent people, send people to destroy the statue of the godly, cunning immortal. You still want to make friends with me? Today, you must compensate 1 million immortal crystals, and at the same time, kneel to the dead and ask for everyone's forgiveness. Otherwise, you won't get out of here today. Sun Hao looked at Zhongli Jing Tian and said lightly. Zhongli Jing Tian clenched his fists, and his joints exploded. The anger was like a wave, continuous, constantly hitting his chest. His whole person seemed to explode. It was the first time he was forced to this point. This is you. You forced me. Do you really think this young master is afraid of you? Kill for me, regardless of life or death. As soon as these words came out, whoosh, behind Zhongli Jing Tian, 3 men in black robes rushed straight to Sun Hao. Seeing this scene, the corners of Sun Hao's mouth raised slightly, revealing an indifferent expression. With Ruming's secret help, not to mention a few yellow immortals, even if it was a celestial immortal, so what? Kid, how dare you be so disrespectful to the young master Dai? The three looked at Sun Hao coldly, and the killing intent on their bodies was not concealed. As they flew over, they released the pressure on their bodies at the same time and rushed straight to Sun Hao. It seemed to rely on pressure to crush Sun Hao into powder. However, they were horrified to find that Sun Hao stood in place, and his face did not change. He didn't even call on any power to resist. How was this possible? How did he do it? What realm has he reached? The faces of the three were full of surprise. In the next second, they sank into hell, extremely terrified. They saw. Humph. Sun Hao snorted coldly and swept a glance. This look was like the demon eye of hell. With the power to imprison everything, it instantly enveloped the three of them. At this moment, all the power of the three was imprisoned. Even moving a finger was extremely difficult. Damn it, impossible. How can he be so terrifying? With one look, he imprisoned me. Even the ancient demon emperor is not so terrifying, right? The three muttered to themselves, and their bodies trembled involuntarily. They looked at Sun Hao with eyes full of fear. Sun Hao also stared at the three and nodded secretly. Rumung is really powerful, as she restrained them all at once. Sun Hao walked toward the three of them step by step. You all are accomplices to the tiger and do all kinds of evil. Such a snobbish villain. You also want to follow. If that's the case, then go to hell. After speaking, Sun Hao raised his fist, aimed at one of their heads, and blasted it down. Boom! There was an explosion. The man's brain burst, and he died on the spot. Such a scene directly scared the other two people in place. Plop! The two knelt on the ground and kept saluting Sun Hao. Master, spare us. We were wrong. Please give us a way out. Sir, we won't follow him anymore. I beg you. The two kept begging for mercy, and their voices were full of trembling. Suddenly, whoosh! 2 beams of light came quickly and instantly pierced into the eyebrows of the two people. The two bodies fell down softly. Chapter 253. The one who had attacked was Zhongli Jing Tian. This is the consequence of betraying this young master. Zhongli Jingtian smiled coldly and stared at Sun Hao. This young master will ask you again. Submit or perish. Zhongli Jingtian asked. Sun Hao smiled slightly and did not answer. He slowly walked towards Zhongli Jingtian. Looks like you've chosen death. Since that's the case, then die. Zhongli Jingtian stretched out his hands and let out a long howl towards the sky. Come out, my blood wolf. A loud roar shook the sky until it rumbled and trembled. Phew! Dark clouds gathered in the sky. These dark clouds spun rapidly, sending out shockwaves. A huge blood-colored wolf head peered down from the sky. Immediately after, a blood wolf emerged from the dark clouds. It was 100 meters tall, like a giant mountain lying in front of Sun Hao. The air around Blood Wolf was distorted, and heat waves rose. The high temperature roared in all directions. The cultivators' expressions changed drastically as they retreated and watched from afar. Oh my God, it's the Blood Wolf from the Blood Wolf Star. Supposedly, every single Blood Wolf would attain the mysterious immortal realm after they mature, and their strengths are extremely terrifying. No wonder I can't breathe, even though I'm so far away. Isn't that young master in danger? What should we do? Everyone's faces were filled with worry. Sun Hao looked at the blood wolf in front of him, and his heart beat violently. Such a big wolf, just one of its claws was like a building. If it had landed on a human body, wouldn't it have turned them into minced meat? However, with Ru Meng present, what was there to fear from a tiny, mysterious, immortal realm blood wolf? Blood wolf, tearing to pieces. Zhongli Jingtian pointed at Sun Hao and roared. Phew! Sun Hao swept his eyes and stared directly at Blood Wolf. At this moment, Shui Lang felt as if he was being stared at by a peerless demon. All the hair on his body stood up. His entire body was trembling nonstop. Woo! The Blood Wolf let out a mournful cry, and its body rapidly shrank. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a red puppy. It crawled at Sun Hao's feet, shivering. His eyes were filled with a pleading look. Silence. It was very quiet. Dead silence. Everyone stared blankly at this scene in disbelief. That kind of shock, that kind of surprise, that kind of disbelief. It was written all over everyone's face. After a while, hiss, the sound of people gasping could be heard. My God, a single glance is enough to make the blood wolf submit. I'm afraid even immortal kings don't have such ability, right? Who is that young master? How could he have such a shocking technique? He looks like a mortal, but this method is unheard of. The sound of explosions rang out continuously. The light of worship swept over him continuously. In the crowd, Mu Shiji stared blankly at Sun Hao and couldn't help but widen his eyes. It turns out that young Master Sun Hao is so powerful. Fortunately, he came. Otherwise, I'm afraid we would all die here today. Young Master, thank you. Mu Shiji looked at Sun Hao with gratitude. Below, on the square of the Supreme Court, Xin Yuan, he looked at Sun Hao's figure in the sky, and he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and widen his eyes. It's the young master. I didn't expect the young master to personally come, my ancestor. As the patriarch of the Xin Yuan family, he had naturally seen Sun Hao's portrait. At first glance, he recognized Sun Hao. Young master, I didn't expect you to personally come and save us. I'm ashamed. I must go and thank the young master immediately. Xin Yuan, he was about to fly up. At this moment, he seemed to think of something. No, the young master cultivates with a mortal body. I can't break the young master's Tao heart. Now, the young master has not admitted that he is the godly cunning immortal, so he must not be broken. Xin Yuan, he muttered to himself and thought secretly. Looking back, he happened to meet Mu Howren's eyes. The two nodded to each other, and everything was said without words. Looking at the sky again, the corner of Zhongli Jingtian's mouth twitched slightly, and his face changed again and again. Little wolf, come back for me. Zhongli Jingtian roared. It was useless. The blood wolf crawled at Sun Hao's feet, motionless. Sun Hao saw this scene, and the corner of his mouth rose. Just now, what he used was the beast taming technique. Unexpectedly, with a little use, Even the immortal grade blood wolf was tamed. The supreme beast taming technique was really not for show. In this way, as long as he tamed a group of wild beasts in the future and brought them with him, he could completely protect himself. Even if Rumung was not around, he would still be safe and sound. Thinking like this, Sun Hao secretly nodded. "I'll give you a name. You'll be called Big Wolf," Sun Hao said. "Woo." The blood wolf nodded and kept rubbing its head against Sun Hao's trousers. Damn it. Zhongli Jingtian saw this scene and secretly cursed. "Big Wolf, go teach him a lesson." Sun Hao pointed to Zhongli Jingtian and said. Woo. The blood wolf nodded, turned around, and growled at Zhongli Jingtian from time to time. "Little wolf, don't listen to him. Come back for me." Ah! A shrill scream shook the heavens. The blood wolf pounced on Zhongli Jingtian and kept biting. "I am your master. Stop, stop." "Damn animal, where are you biting? Do you want this young master to have no descendants?" "Animal, I will not let you go." A moment later, the blood wolf returned to Sun Hao's side. Zhongli Jingtian's body was full of deep bone-visible wounds, and the blood was like a spring, trickling down. It looked terrible, and people could not look directly at it. He struggled to take out a jade bottle, poured out a pill with an extremely painful expression, and sent it into his mouth. Ooh. Immediately afterward, the injuries on Zhongli Jingtian's body recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye, and in less than a moment, he recovered to his original state. He stood up and stared at Sun Hao. "Kid, you have completely angered me. Today, even if God comes, he can't save you." Zhongli Jingtian said one sentence at a time, and his anger was monstrous. However, Sun Hao's gaze swept over. It swept directly on Zhongli Jingtian. This gaze was like the eyes of hell. Zhongli Jingtian's hair stood on end, and his whole body trembled involuntarily. His physical strength was rapidly lost. All the immortal power in his body was imprisoned. How is this possible? What the hell are you? What kind of monster are you? Zhongli Jingtian's voice trembled, and he looked at Sun Hao in horror. Sun Hao did not speak, but walked towards Zhongli Jingtian step by step. What do you want to do?" A kind of fear from the bones surged throughout his body. What do you think?" Sun Hao smiled at Zhongli Jingtian and clenched his fists. You dare to hit me?" Zhongli Jingtian's expression stagnated. Sun Hao did not speak, but stood in front of Zhongli Jingtian, looking at him coldly. He raised his fist, aimed at Zhongli Jingtian's face, and blasted down. "You dare!" Zhongli Jingtian struggled frantically, but all the power in his body was imprisoned, and he could not move at all. That fist seemed to have no power, but it carried a kind of fatal crisis rushing to his heart. At this moment, endless fear spread throughout Zhongli Jingtian's body. "Save me, Uncle Zhu!" Zhongli Jingtian roared. After this sound, a sudden change occurred. Chapter 254. A ray of red light flew out from Zhongli Jingtian's hand and exploded in the sky. A blood-colored teleportation vortex appeared in the sky. A ruthless aura surged out from the blood-colored vortex and spread throughout the world. In an instant, it enveloped everyone. At this moment, a chill seeped into his bones. The cultivators' bodies trembled, and their expressions changed drastically. What is this? How terrifying! I feel like my heart is going to stop beating. What should I do? This pressure is too terrifying. I can't move. I'm afraid it's a heaven immortal level savage beast. With such a violent aura, I'm afraid this savage beast is not simple. Voices of shock could be heard continuously. Zhongli Jingtian looked at the sky, his forehead dripping with sweat, his face full of fear. He retracted his gaze and stared directly at Sun Hao. "Brat, you're dead." Zhongli Jingtian revealed a cruel smile. Sun Hao sensed the unusual changes above his head and looked up. Instantly, the teleportation vortex disappeared. The sky regained its calm. At this moment, the surroundings were deathly silent. Everyone stared at Sun Hao, shocked to the extreme. They opened their mouths wide and mumbled for a long time without saying a word. His mouth was wide open enough to fit an egg. After a while, "Holy sh*t," he saw through the summoning teleportation formation with just one look. It's not that he lost sight of it. The savage beast that he summoned was scared away. What? Scared off? Even celestial immortals were scared away? My God! Ancestor, what kind of existence is that young master? Could it be an immortal king? Cries of surprise could be heard continuously. They looked at Sun Hao with awe on their faces. Sun Hao Gong, young master, is actually terrifying to this extent? It seems that the young master must be an immortal king. I didn't expect that even the immortal king wants to be the disciple of the godly cunning immortal. In this way, doesn't it mean that the godly cunning immortal is at least an immortal venerable or an immortal emperor? Thinking of this, Mu Shiji's heart tightened, and his whole body trembled with excitement. He couldn't calm down for a long time. Sensing the fiery eyes around him, Sun Hao's face showed an embarrassed smile. Who would have thought that Ru Ming would actually scare away the heavenly immortal savage beast? From the looks of it, Ru Ming was not an ordinary celestial immortal. Her strength was absolutely terrifying. Sun Hao thought secretly, his face full of confidence. His gaze swept across the room and landed on Zhongli Jingtian. They saw. Zhongli Jingtian's mouth was wide open as he mumbled to himself for a long time. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Father gave me a summoning amulet. There's a hell blood wolf sealed inside. That's a heavenly, immortal realm savage beast. How could it be scared away? I'm dreaming. I must be dreaming. Zhongli Jingtian kept shaking his head, unwilling to believe everything that was happening in front of him. Hee hee. A burst of laughter jolted Zhongli Jingtian back to reality. Looking up, he saw Sun Hao standing in front of him with cold eyes. You? What do you want? Zhongli Jingtian used his hands to support his body and continuously moved backwards. Of course it's to F*CKU. How dare you? Bang! A sound rang out. The fist smashed down. It landed right on Zhongli Jingtian's face. This punch caused Zhongli Jingtian's head to rumble and the sky to darken. His teeth shot out like hailstones. You dare to hit me? Zhongli Jingtian's face was flushed as he stared at Sun Hao with resentment. Hit you? I'm hitting you. After speaking, Sun Hao raised his fist and smashed it down again. Bang! There was a loud noise. The teeth on the left side of Zhongli Jingtian's face also flew everywhere. This punch is because you indiscriminately killed innocent people. This punch is because you were disrespectful to the godly, cunning immortal. This punch is because you dared to kill me. Every time he said a sentence, Sun Hao landed a punch. A moment later, Zhongli Jingtian's face was swollen like a pig's head, blue and purple. His two eyeballs rolled straight and stared at Sun Hao. You still dare to stare at me like this, courting death. Sun Hao raised his fist and smashed it down again. Bang! Zhongli Jingtian's head roared, and he was dizzy. A moment later, Sun Hao stopped and looked at Zhongli Jingtian coldly. Can you say your last words? Sun Hao said, Ha! Zhongli Jingtian looked up to the sky and laughed crazily. Last words? You want to kill me? Zhongli Jingtian said. What do you think? Sun Hao smiled coldly. Do you dare? Do you know who I am? Let me tell you, if you touch me, the entire purple sun star must be buried with me. This young master is from the Blood Wolf star, and the power behind me is not something you can provoke. If you know what's good for you, let me go obediently and kneel down and beg for mercy. I can consider giving you a way to live. Zhongli Jingtian said one sentence at a time, looking insolent. Threatening me? Sun Hao was unmoved and walked towards him step by step. Stop! I told you to stop. Did you hear me? Don't kill me. I was wrong. I am from the Zhongli family of the Blood Wolf star. If you touch me, you will not have a good end. Zhongli Jingtian's face changed drastically, and he kept shouting. However, it was useless. Sun Hao stood in front of him and looked at him coldly. Zhongli family? So what? Die! Sun Hao roared angrily. On his fist, the blue veins bulged, and the terrifying power flowed on his fist. The air around him kept twisting. The terrifying power all gathered on Sun Hao's fist. He aimed at Zhongli Jingtian and smashed it down. No, Katja! Two sounds rang out at the same time. Zhongli Jingtian's head cracked. After twitching strangely a few times, there was no movement, and he died on the spot. Oh! A ray of light flashed away. In front of Sun Hao, there were various objects. This is? Sun Hao looked at these things in front of him, and he couldn't help but widen his eyes. This feeling was like killing monsters and bursting things. The whole scene was dead silent. Everyone stared blankly at this scene, and the expressions on their faces were different. Killed, really killed? The young master did what he said. This courage, no one can match. Too powerful, too domineering. The young master is really a model for our generation. Oh my God, the young master actually hammered Nasi's soul space. F***CK, Jade Slip, there's so many immortal crystals. Those are middle-grade immortal crystals. So many. Those talismans, I'm afraid they are immortal talismans, right? The exclamations continued to ring out. Everyone looked at Sun Hao, their eyes full of worship and envy. Young master, mighty. No one knew who took the lead, waved his arm, and someone immediately followed. One by one, their expressions were excited, and their blood was surging. The whole scene was extremely enthusiastic at this moment. Seeing this scene, Sun Hao's face showed a touch of embarrassment. Today was really a big show. Now, my reputation should be good, right? My performance today should attract the attention of the godly cunning immortal. Presumably, the godly cunning immortal will learn about it and accept me as a disciple. Maybe it will also solve the problem of my waste physique. My reputation is big enough, and it will be much easier to sell wine. It's really killing two birds with one stone. Sun Hao thought secretly, and a smile appeared on his face. Everything today was thanks to Ruming's secret action to achieve this effect. Turning around, he just saw Huang Ruming walking towards him step by step. Ruming, amazing. Sun Hao secretly gave a thumbs up. Young master, you flatter me. Huang Ruming lowered her head, showing an embarrassed smile. Although she was asked to secretly make a move, from beginning to end, it was the young master's strength. Now, the young master still praised her. It was embarrassing. However, as long as it didn't break the young master's Tao heart, it was good. Ruming, put these away. Yes, young master. Huang Ruming waved her right hand and took all the treasures in front of Sun Hao into the soul space. Chapter 255. Young Master Mighty. Above the Supreme Court, the entire scene was extremely enthusiastic. The sound of agitation lasted for a long time. Sun Hao looked at this scene, showing an embarrassed smile. He took a few steps forward and stood in front of the group of cultivators, gently waving his hand. The surroundings gradually quietened down. Everyone, you don't have to do this. Such a small matter isn't worth showing off. Since the godly cunning immortal has issued a decree, we must be united as one. Only then will we have a chance to restore the glory of the human race. Sun Hao's voice blasted into everyone's ears like thunder. Hearing this, the cultivators clenched their fists in excitement. Ruming, let's go down. Sun Hao said. Woo! Blood Red ran to Sun Hao and kept rubbing against his trousers. Okay, you follow me. Sun Hao said. Under the shroud of tens of thousands of divine wills, phew! Huang Ruming flew down with Sun Hao and came to the square of the Supreme Court. Greetings, young master. Xin Yuan, Yi, and Mu Haoran brought their men forward and bowed respectfully. Don't stand on ceremony. Young master, you have saved us today, and you have united the entire human race. I wonder if young master has the time. Shall we go to the mansion? Xin Yuan, Yi said. A gathering at the residence? What was there to gather about? How could it be better than what he made? Forget it. It wasn't easy for him to raise his reputation. While there were many people, he still wanted to sell wine and harvest blessing points. No need. I still have matters to attend to. So I'll take my leave first. After speaking, Sun Hao took Huang Ruming and walked directly out of the Supreme Court and came to the gate of the Supreme Court. With a gesture, Huang Ruming took out tables and chairs and placed them in front of Sun Hao. The sign was erected with the words, Celestial Wine for Sale, one celestial crystal per bottle, limited to 3 bottles per person. Many small jade bottles were placed on the table. After arranging all this, Sun Hao nodded slightly. Now, even if his name didn't spread far, he was at least known by everyone. Plus his own hunger marketing. The sales volume must be pretty good. One was to make money, and the other was to harvest blessing points. Even though he was a supreme beast tamer, if he was too weak, it would be difficult for him to gain a foothold in this vicious world. No matter what, gathering the blessing points and obtaining the supreme physique was the most important thing. Seeing Sun Hao's actions, a group of cultivators was full of doubts. What is young master doing? Are they selling immortal wine? I think so. It's such a small bottle, but he finished it in one gulp. What? 1 immortal crystal per bottle? It's too expensive. What kind of immortal wine is this expensive? I can't afford it. I can't afford it. Even if we can't afford it, we have to buy it. Young master saved us. With such a great favor, a piece of immortal crystal is nothing. That's right. Compared to life, celestial crystals are nothing. Many cultivators flew down and came to Sun Hao. Young master, I'll buy a bottle. All right. Money in one hand, goods in the other. The person who bought the immortal wine directly threw the bottle into his soul space, not even looking at it. When Xin Yuan saw this scene, he couldn't help but widen his eyes, and a hint of ecstasy flashed in his eyes. How could the young master's items be ordinary? You all still don't know? Everyone, line up immediately and buy 3 bottles. Xin Yuan used his divine awareness to transmit his voice, which rang in the ears of every elder. The moment these words came out, the group of elders immediately moved. The other side, the elders of the Mu family, moved a step earlier than them. They quickly ran to Sun Hao and lined up to buy immortal wine. In the sky, Mu Shiji couldn't help but be stunned when he saw this scene. The acting patriarch actually sent people to line up to buy immortal wine? I only seem to have 5 immortal crystals, then I'll buy a bottle too. Thinking like this, Mu Shiji flew down and joined the end of the line. In front of Sun Hao. Young master, I'll buy 3 bottles. Young master, I'll buy 3 bottles. At the same time. Ding, blessing point plus 3. Ding, blessing point plus 3. Such prompts kept ringing. Isn't that the elders of the Xinyuan family? Why are they lining up too? It's normal. Young master saved us. With their Xinyuan family's financial resources, this little immortal crystal is nothing. Since the Xinyuan family has expressed their stance, how can we stand by and watch? An immortal crystal will not kill us. More and more cultivators joined the queue. Seeing the long line behind him, the corner of Mu Shiji's mouth raised slightly. Fortunately, he decided early enough and didn't have to line up. Soon, it was Mu Shiji's turn. Young master, I'll buy a bottle. Mu Shiji said. Okay. After taking the immortal crystal, Sun Hao looked up. Wait. Young master Sun Hao. Mu Shiji saluted. Since you and I are familiar, I'll give you a few bottles. After speaking, Sun Hao took out 5 bottles of immortal wine again and handed them to Mu Shiji. Thank you, young master Sun Hao. Mu Shiji left quickly. I don't know what kind of immortal wine young master brewed. Mu Shiji curiously opened the lid and immediately stood in place. That kind of shocked appearance was indescribable in words. He looked around, and after confirming that no one was paying attention to him, he quietly put away the jade bottle. 6 bottles of peerless immortal wine. This kind of good fortune was simply incredible. Mu Shiji had a feeling that as long as he drank these 6 bottles, he would definitely advance by leaps and bounds, and there would be no problem becoming an immortal. Young master Sun Hao, this kind of great kindness, I will repay it another day. I will go back to the family to break through first. Young master, you can rest assured that I, Mu Shiji, will guard the human race. Mu Shiji looked back at Sun Hao and hid his gratitude in the bottom of his heart. Then, he turned into an escape light and left quickly. Of course, there were also many people who found that the immortal wine was extraordinary. Those who had only bought 1 bottle joined the queue again. Hey, didn't you just line up to buy it? Young master said I could buy 3 bottles, but I only bought 1 bottle. I feel guilty and feel sorry for young master. Brother, generous, really a model for my generation. In front of Sun Hao, more and more people lined up. Didn't you buy 3 bottles? Sun Hao looked at a man and said, Young master, can you sell me a few more bottles? The man scratched his head and smiled awkwardly. Sell you a few more bottles? Dream on. One person could only get 3 blessing points. If I sell you more, where can my blessing point go to harvest? Sun Hao pointed to the sign and said loudly, Those who have bought 3 bottles, please don't line up and delay everyone's time. As soon as these words came out, many people walked out of the line and sighed secretly. After Sun Hao sold 12,000 bottles. Young master, there are only 1,000 bottles left. Huang Ruming's voice came into Sun Hao's ears. Hearing this, Sun Hao nodded slightly. That can't be sold anymore. There must be some left. Everyone, I'm sorry it's sold out. If necessary, wait for me to brew it. I will sell it in Zhongfu Immortal City. At that time, please support me. Sun Hao said. As soon as these words came out, the cultivators in line couldn't help but stand in place. Especially those who had bought a bottle. Their faces were full of regret. Even so, they remained calm and collected. They didn't say anything about the extraordinary immortal wine, and only dared to rot in their stomachs. Young Master Sun Hao, definitely. I will wait for you in Zhongfu Immortal City. Young Master Sun Hao, me too. Many people bowed and dispersed in all directions. Sun Hao nodded in satisfaction, stood up, and was about to leave with Huang Ruming. Young Master. At this moment a voice sounded. Zhongli Lang came forward with people and saluted with cupped fists. You are? Sun Hao asked. Young Master, my name is Zhongli Lang, the Grand Dean of the Supreme Court. Young Master, please come inside. Zhongli Lang made a gesture of invitation. Grand Dean? Sun Hao frowned slightly, showing a thoughtful look. The Supreme Court ruled the entire Tianluo continent. The human race was weak. If they could unite together, other races would certainly not dare to be so arrogant. Since he was the Grand Dean, the effect of telling him this would be good. Good. Sun Hao walked into the Supreme Court with Huang Ruming. Entering the main hall, Sun Hao was arranged in the main seat. It seems that today, they think I am a peerless expert. Presumably, my words will also have a lot of weight. Everyone sat down, and everyone looked at Sun Hao, waiting for him to speak. Everyone, since everyone can get together today, is fate. The evil and demon races are eyeing our race covetously, ready to launch a fatal blow at any time. All this is nothing. Speaking of this, Sun Hao paused. In his eyes, 2 ominous lights burst out. On his body, killing intent rose. The most annoying is the dragon race. Since ancient times, they have regarded our race as ants, and they can slaughter us if they want. What about me? I dare not speak up and keep everything in the bottom of my heart. Finally, accept the matter of the dragon race slaughtering the city and take everything for granted. If the weak can be bullied, if the dragon race doesn't bully us, who does he bully? Just a few days ago, the dragon race actually wanted to slaughter the entire West Prefecture Immortal City. If it weren't for the godly cunning immortal who calculated everything in advance, and the evil suppression alliance was brave enough to take responsibility, I am afraid that millions of cultivators would be destroyed. Do you think we can still be so weak? When Zhongli Lang and the others heard this, it was like a blow to the head, and they bowed their heads in shame. Chapter 256. Young Master. Zhongli Lang walked forward and hesitated to speak. Grand Dean, if you have something to say, just say it, don't be polite. Sun Hao said, The one you killed today, Zhongli Jingtian, was the only son of the Zhongli family's patriarch, Zhongli Xiao. With Zhongli Zhao's protective personality, I'm afraid. Zhongli Lang sighed to himself, and his face was covered in worry. As soon as these words came out, Sun Hao raised his eyebrows. Judging from the Grand Dean's fearful expression, Zhongli Xiao was probably not a simple person. However, with the godly cunning immortal, there was no need to be afraid at all. Young Master, I advise you to leave Purple Sunstar and find a safe place to hide. If he can't find her, he probably won't. Zhongli Lang's voice gradually became softer, and his expression dimmed down. Grand Dean, are you joking? Since Zhong Li Xiao is so protective, then I presume it would probably be a calamity to the entire Violet Sunstar if I were to leave. Am I right? Grand Dean, with the godly cunning immortal here, even if Zhong Li Xiao comes, he definitely won't be able to cause any trouble. In case it didn't work, he would stay in his old nest. Presumably, the godly cunning immortal would be next to him. If Zhong Li Xiao dares to come, he'll definitely die. Before Zhong Li Xiao's arrival, it would be best if he could accumulate enough blessing points and embark on the path of cultivation. Young master, you are right. With the godly cunning immortal here, let alone one Zhong Li Xiao, even if 100 Zhong Li Xiao came, so what? Zhong Li Lang's face shone brightly. How far is Zhong Li Xiao from the Violet Sunstar? How long will it take for him to come here? Sun Hao asked. Young master, Zhong Li Xiao lives on the Bloodwolf Star. It will take a few days if we use the planet's teleportation array, Zhong Li Lang said. So fast? Sun Hao was surprised. Young master, you don't have to worry. The news of Zhong Li Jing Tian's death will reach Zhong Li Zhao's ears in a few months, Zhong Li Lang said. Hearing this, Sun Hao breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he had time. Young master, since you have come to the Supreme Court, why don't you stay for a while before leaving? Zhong Li Lang said. Stay here for a while? It seemed possible. He could reap the blessing points. Otherwise, how about playing music to reap blessing points? No, that kind of superpower couldn't be used easily. Only reliable people would be allowed to use it. To earn blessing points, it was more reliable to sell things. He would continue to brew wine and sell it. Anyway, the brewing speed was very fast, and he could brew many vats in a day. Yes, please find me a secluded place. Sun Hao said. Young master, there's no problem. Then you can stay in the forbidden area. No one will disturb you there. Zhong Li Lang said. All right. Sun Hao stood up and walked out with Ru Meng. Lead the way. Young master, please. Zhong Li Lang personally led the way and sent Sun Hao to the forbidden area. After a while, Zhong Li Lang walked back. His eyes were filled with boundless joy. Young master Sun Hao must be a favorite of the godly cunning immortal. He could get to know the godly cunning immortal through him. At that time, before he knew it, he was already back in the main hall. Raising his head to look, he saw Xian Yuan, Yi, and Mu Haoran staring at him. Patriarchs, why are you looking at me like that? What happened today truly has nothing to do with me. I was completely suppressed, Zhong Li Lang said. Let's find a secret room first. Xian Yuan, he looked around and said, All right. Zhong Li Lang led the two of them into a private room. After laying layers of restrictions. Zhong Li Lang, you old guy, you're amazing. Xian Yuan, he said. Patriarch Xian Yuan, what do you mean? Zhong Li Lang was puzzled. You really don't know how to obtain this kind of amazing fortune? Xian Yuan, he said. Ha! Zhong Li Lang stroked his long beard and smiled. This is true. Soon, this old man will be able to meet the godly cunning immortal. Meet your big head ghost. Mu Haoran pointed at Zhong Li Lang and scolded. Do you know who young Master Sun Hao is? Isn't it young Master Sun Hao? Could it be? Thinking of this, Zhong Li Lang raised his eyebrows, and his pupils contracted rapidly. The expression on his face kept changing. You mean young Master Sun Hao is the godly cunning immortal? Zhong Li Lang asked. Sure, keep your voice down. Seeing the two nodded. Hiss. Zhong Li Lang took a breath of cold air, and his body trembled with excitement. No wonder the young master didn't show any power, but he killed the immortal so easily. No wonder Zhong Li Jing Tian didn't even have a chance to struggle in front of the young master. He even advised the young master to leave Xiang's star, which was simply a slap in the face. Thinking of this, Zhong Li Lang's face couldn't help but turn red. Open the immortal wine you bought today. Xian Yuan, he said. Okay. Zhong Li Lang took out 3 jade bottles, his hands trembling slightly. The immortal wine brewed by the young master was probably extraordinary. He opened the bottle cap and took a look. His whole person was like being electrocuted, and he took 2 steps back. Hiss, the cold air was sucked in. Zhong Li Lang's face changed again and again. Inside the immortal wine, there was infinite immortal power. The immortal power was so pure that there was no trace of impurities. With just a light breath, he felt that his suppressed realm was about to break through. In this kind of breakthrough, there was no sense of stagnation. It was simply incomparably smooth. This kind of peerless immortal item, perhaps even 100,000 immortal crystals, couldn't buy a bottle. The young master actually only sold it for one immortal crystal. What did this mean? Moreover, he sold so much today. The godly cunning immortal that he was searching for actually came to him. And he himself didn't know him stupidly. It was simply stupid. Phew. Zhongli Lang took a few long breaths before he calmed down. Two patriarchs, this kind of peerless immortal item. Why did the young master only sell it for one immortal crystal? Zhongli Lang asked. You really don't know? Xianyuan, he asked. Please enlighten me, Patriarch Xianyuan. Zhongli Lang clasped his fists. Zhongli Lang, what are your duties as the Great Dean? Xianyuan, he asked. That is, of course, to protect the Tianluo continent. Zhongli Lang said. Since you still know this, then let me ask you, what did the young master say today? Xianyuan, he asked. The young master hates the evil demons, cursed the dragon race, and hated our human race even more. Zhongli Lang said. That's right. Xianyuan, he nodded. The young master sold these immortal wines. His intention is to let us grow faster. At the same time, we must unite together to fight against the evil demons and exterminate them. And the reason why he stayed here is to supervise you. If you do well, the young master will definitely give you a great fortune, and becoming an immortal is absolutely no problem. Xianyuan, he said. Hearing this, Zhongli Lang sucked in a breath of cold air again. It turns out that the young master is testing me. In that case, I must take action. Young master, don't worry, I will pass your test. Zhongli Lang clenched his fists with a firm look. He took a step and was about to walk out. Whoosh! A sound of breaking through the air sounded. Chapter 257. This place is really good. Sun Hao looked at the attic in front of him and nodded with satisfaction. Front yard, backyard, stream, pond. It had everything just like a pavilion outside the world. Although it couldn't be compared with his own residence, it wasn't too different. At least it was much better than living in an inn. Rumung, give me a plate of cherries. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. Huang Rumung waved her right hand, and a plate of red and black cherries was placed in front of Sun Hao. Each one exuded a tempting luster. A strong cherry fragrance came to his face. It made people salivate when they smelled it. After cleaning, Rumung, sit down and eat together. Leave the seeds. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. Sun Hao picked up a cherry and put it in his hand to look at it. He saw that above the cherry, wisps of five-colored airflow kept lingering. The white airflow is spiritual energy, and the five-colored airflow is immortal energy. I can see it clearly. Why can't I turn it into my own use AI? Sun Hao sighed secretly and put the cherry into his mouth. He bit it in one bite. The red and black juice burst into his entire mouth cavity, and a refreshing feeling surged through his whole body. Chewing lightly between the teeth, it was full of the fragrance of the pulp. It was delicious. Soon after, a plate of cherries had been eaten clean by the two. This world cherries are so delicious. Let's go, Rumung, let's go plant trees. Yes, young master. The two walked into the backyard, took out a hoe, dug a pit, and buried the seeds. Fertilizing, watering, every action was carried out in an unstable line. I will let you grow fruits today. Sun Hao looked at the ancient zither in front of him, and the corners of his mouth rose. Zheng. He plucked the strings and began to play. Under his control, wisps of five-colored light flew out of his fingertips and entered the cherry seeds. Kacha! Just in an instant, the seed shell broke open. The buds grew rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. Small saplings spread their branches and leaves and expanded rapidly. It looked like a magic trick. It was extremely magical. Huang Rumung looked at this scene, her eyes flashing, and her eyes were full of worship. Suddenly, buzz, there was a shock. Huang Rumung took out a communication jade slip, opened it, and couldn't help but frown. He saw that the message jade slip was written. Immortal, According to my investigation these days, the Divine Turtle Clan has sent 100,000 elite troops to the Tianluo continent. They must have reached some kind of agreement with the Dragon Clan. Damn it! Huang Rumen clenched her fists, her face full of anger. It's all my fault for being too soft-hearted. If I had known earlier, I would have uprooted the dragon race. I can only blame myself for not being strong enough to break the primordial bell. Otherwise, how could something like this happen? Since Grasshopper dares to act so rashly, he must have absolute confidence. With my current strength, I'm afraid it'll be difficult to capture all of them in one fell swoop. There might even be danger. I need to borrow strength. Huang Rumeng secretly made a decision. She swept her divine sense and enveloped the entire Supreme Court. Phew! After she glanced at Sun Hao, her figure quietly disappeared in place. Supreme Court, in a secret room underground. Zhongli Lang's group of 3 was just about to leave. Swish! At this moment, the sound of something piercing through the air rang out. Immediately after, a piece of paper rapidly flew over and floated before Zhongli Lang. Who? The 3 released their divine senses and scanned the surroundings, but did not find any figure. Who sent this? When they picked up the piece of paper and looked at it, the pupils of the 3 suddenly shrank. What? The dragon race want to slaughter my Tianluo continent? Who the hell gave us this news? And we can't find any trace. Several people's faces changed slightly, and they kept thinking. I know. Damn it, I should have thought of it earlier. This must have been given to us by the young master. AI, the young master did not care about breaking our Tao heart, and pointed out to us 3 times and 5 times, but we were stupid and didn't understand. Zhongli Lang and the other 2 beat their chests and stamped their feet, annoyed. It seems that the young master wants us to fight against the dragon race. Zhongli Lang said, That's right, but with the strength of our human race, how can we fight against it? How? Mu Haoran said, First, Dean, can you invite your Zhongli family's ancestor over? Xin Yuan asked. Absolutely not. Zhongli Lang directly waved his hand and refused. With my ancestor's personality, if he learns that Zhongli Jingtian was killed, he will definitely capture me and then find trouble with the young master. If he learns that the dragon race slaughtered the Tianluo continent, maybe he will help the dragon race. Zhongli Lang said. Hearing this, Xin Yuan and Zhongli Lang sighed secretly. Then what should we do? Without an immortal, we are definitely not the opponent of the dragon race. Mu Haoran said, I don't think there is any need to worry. Since the young master has arranged for the great Dean, he will naturally think of this. By the way, didn't the young master give us the immortal wine? Presumably, the young master wants us to drink it and break through to the immortal realm. Xin Yuan said, Are you kidding? Break through to the immortal realm? Can you resist the immortal tribulation? Mu Haoran said, Of course, we can resist it. Our 2 holy lands will protect us. Xin Yuan said. Hearing this, Mu Haoran nodded again and again. What about the Great Dean? The Great Dean has been preparing for many years, and he must have arranged everything in the Forbidden Land. There should be no problem to cross the immortal tribulation. Xin Yuan said. Zhongli Lang's face showed a touch of surprise when he heard this. Xin Yuan family head, you have inquired very clearly. You have to care more about old friends. Well, let's separate now and go back to cross the tribulation. Great Dean, you go and inquire about the whereabouts of the dragon race. If you need any help, our 2 families will fully support you. You must act immediately, understand? Xin Yuan said. Well, I understand. I will go and arrange it immediately. Then go to the Forbidden Land to cross the tribulation. Speaking of this, Zhongli Lang's face showed a touch of worry. Great Dean, do you still have something to say? Xin Yuan asked. Xin Yuan family head, this old man has one more thing to ask. Please speak. Now, the young master lives in the Forbidden Land. Is there any way to ask the young master to leave? Zhongli Lang asked. Xin Yuan looked up at the sky and laughed. What do you mean? Why are you laughing at this old man? Zhongli Lang was puzzled. You underestimate the young master too much. A mere immortal tribulation. What is it to the young master? You don't have to ask the young master to leave at all. Perhaps the young master will help you here. Xianyuan Yi said. What? The young master dares to resist the immortal tribulation. Isn't he afraid of attracting an even stronger thunder tribulation? Zhongli Lang's face was full of surprise. It seems that you still don't know how terrifying the young master is. Anyway, I advise you to never ask the young master. Do you understand? Let's go. After speaking, Xianyuan Yi and Mu Haoran walked out. Zhongli Lang looked at their backs, revealing a thoughtful expression. Chapter 258. It's done. Sun Hao looked at nearly 100 fruit trees, full of cherries in front of him, and his eyes bloomed with a strange light. Each cherry tree was more than 10 meters high. Although it was not as good as the one planted at home, cherries hung all over the branches, extremely attractive. In terms of fruit alone, these 100 fruit trees had 10 times the number of fruits. Rumung, let's start making wine. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. Huang Rumung waved her right hand, and cherries fell from the tree, flew into the sky, and floated there quietly. Ooh. The spring water gushed up, intertwined with the cherries, cleaning the dust. Boom! Thousands of large vats filled the backyard. The fruit fell into the large vat and was sealed for fermentation. Zheng, Sun Hao began to play the guqin. The five-colored light flew out of his fingertips and scattered into each large vat. Half a day later, Sun Hao stopped. On his forehead, fine beads of sweat overflowed. I'm a little sleepy. I feel exhausted. Looks like this is my limit. And here I thought I could brew indefinitely. Take a break first. Sun Hao stood up, staggered, and almost fell. Young master, are you okay? Huang Rumung was startled, hurriedly ran forward, and helped Sun Hao up. Between her eyebrows, there was worry. I'm fine. Just a little tired. Help me to rest for a while. Okay. Sun Hao fell on the bed and slept soundly. This sleep lasted for a day. Rumble. What woke Sun Hao up was the thunder above his head. Young master, you finally woke up. Huang Rumung threw herself into Sun Hao's arms, crying with joy. Rumung, I'm fine. Is it going to rain? How about those wines? Young master, I've collected them all. How many bottles are there? More than 500,000 bottles. Huang Rumung said. So much? Sun Hao's eyes were full of brilliance. More than 500,000 bottles meant more than 500,000 blessing points. Plus his current 120,000 blessing points. The total blessing points were completely more than half. It was worth it. Rumble. Another clap of thunder rang out. This thunder is too loud. Sun Hao looked at the sky, showing a trace of displeasure. Withdrawing his gaze, Sun Hao looked at Huang Rumung. Rumung, let's go to Zhongfu Immortal City tomorrow to sell wine. Yes, young master. Meanwhile, in the sky, among the dark clouds, Sizzle, the thunder tribulation giant, turned into an afterimage and kept shuttling through the dark clouds. His expression was like that of a mischievous child, incomparably happy. Every time it shuttled to a new place, it would let out an explosion. The entire world was shaking violently. The thunder tribulation giant let out a hearty laugh. My luck is just too good. Someone is actually undergoing the immortal tribulation. This time, I'm going to blast you until your soul scatters. Daring to fight against the heavens. This is your fate. This is not the lightning tribulation forbidden zone. No one will protect you here. It's impossible for a supreme being to be here. At this point, the thunder tribulation giant looked up to the sky and laughed. We can definitely complete this year's sales. The hegemon will definitely reward me. Little guy, are you trembling? Are you ready? The thunder tribulation giant stood amidst the dark clouds, its eyes emitting two bolts of lightning as it stared directly at Zhongli Lang. This glare was like the demonic eye of hell sweeping over. Zhongli Lang had goosebumps all over his body, and he trembled involuntarily. It seems that something is staring at me. So scary. What should I do? The power of this immortal tribulation seems to be dozens of times greater. Zhongli Lang muttered to himself, his face full of bitterness. From time to time, he glanced at Sun Hao's position, showing a pleading look. Hey, What is that little guy looking at? Do you still want someone to help you? Thinking like this, the Thunder Tribulation giant swept his gaze in Sun Hao's direction. Immediately, tap, tap, his body took a few steps back and fell to the ground with a stagger. His face was full of horror. Supreme being, why are you here? Why? Wherever someone crosses the tribulation, it has something to do with you. Supreme being, don't be angry, I was wrong. I know what to do. After speaking, the Thunder Tribulation giant took out a thunder hammer, pulled out a ray of thunder light from it, and threw it at Zhongli Lang. After doing this, the Thunder Tribulation giant pierced through the void and disappeared. When he appeared again, he had already come to a certain space. On his face, it was full of bitterness. Hey, I can't complete this year's performance. I can only be scolded by the Supreme Ruler. Anyway, my performance is the worst every year. It doesn't matter. The Thunder Tribulation giant shook his head secretly and was about to lie down. See, a sound rang out. Looking up at a crystal ball, the Thunder Tribulation giant's pupil shrank. Someone crossed the immortal tribulation again. This time, it shouldn't be related to the Supreme Being, right? As long as I kill him, the performance can be completed. I'm coming. The Thunder Tribulation giant's figure flashed and instantly appeared above the Mu family mansion. He scanned the surroundings with his divine sense and confirmed that Sun Hao was not there. Then he began to laugh up to the sky. Ha! This year's performance can finally be completed. God is helping me. For the sake of long nights and many dreams, little guy, die. After speaking, the Thunder Tribulation giant picked up the hammer, aimed at Mu Haoran, and struck down. A huge bolt of lightning cut through the night sky and fell directly on the Mu family mansion. In the sky, a layer of invisible ripples suddenly shook, wiping out the lightning. Mu Haoran was not injured at all. Blocked? A bit interesting. Little guy, next, there are 107 left, each of which has doubled in power. Be careful. After speaking, the Thunder Tribulation giant struck down again. It was still wiped out, and it did not cause any harm to the Mu family. How is this possible? I don't believe it. The Thunder Tribulation giant roared and quickly waved the hammer. Dozens of lightning bolts fell at the same time, all blasting above the Mu family mansion. After a few wisps of electric light, it disappeared again. The Thunder Tribulation giant's eyes widened, and his face was full of disbelief. He scanned the Mu family mansion with his divine sense and frowned slightly. This is the supreme holy land, my God. Not to mention the immortal tribulation. Even the immortal King Tribulation may not be able to shake them. This supreme holy land has a familiar smell. This is the breath of the Supreme Being. Damn it, I dare to attack the place that the Supreme Being wants to protect. Don't want to live anymore. Supreme Being, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I will leave immediately. After speaking, the Thunder Tribulation giant penetrated the void and disappeared on the spot. Gone? Mu Haoran stared blankly at the clear sky, full of disbelief. Isn't it said that there are 108 immortal tribulation thunder? There are only 30 or so, and it's gone? Could it be that the legend is false? Impossible. Mu Haoran thought to himself, and the expression on his face became more and more shocked. Then there is only one possibility. The Thunder Tribulation giant knows that this is the young master's method and does not dare to destroy it. Unexpectedly, the Thunder Tribulation giant is afraid of the young master. The young master is really terrifying. Chapter 259. Zhongfu Immortal City in a Tea House. A storyteller was surrounded by a group of cultivators. Who would have thought that on this trip to the Supreme Court, hundreds of thousands of cultivators will be trapped in a desperate situation? Not to mention Zhongli Jingtian, just the blood wolves he summoned are terrifying. No one is their opponent. You should know that the blood wolves are all at the Xian immortal level when they grow up, and as one is even more terrifying, reaching the earth immortal level. As soon as the blood wolf came out, all the cultivators were in a desperate situation and had no power to struggle. Guess what happened at this critical moment? At this point, the storyteller picked up the teacup and took a sip. Could it be that the godly cunning immortal descended and killed Zhongli Shuelang with his amazing magical power? The godly cunning immortal is really powerful, calculating everything and constantly saving us. A burst of exclamations kept ringing out. The faces of the cultivators were full of worship. The storyteller smiled and shook his head when he heard this. "You are wrong," said the storyteller. "Is it not the godly cunning immortal?" "Of course not." The storyteller smiled and shook his head. At this critical moment, a handsome young master descended from the sky. This young master, with his every move, carried the truth of the great Tao. At least one look, those blood wolves crawled on the ground, shivering. At the most, the blood wolf was controlled by that young master, threw Zhongli Jingtian down, and bit him fiercely. That scene was simply unbearable to look at. As soon as these words came out, the sound of gasping kept ringing out. My God, one look made the summoned beast bite back. He's too strong. In this world, there's actually such a strong person. Too awesome. This kind of young master, I really want to pay my respects. Who is he? The exclamations kept ringing out, and it took a long time to calm down. Finally, everyone's eyes fell on the storyteller. The storyteller smiled slightly and said, "Actually, what is this? Let me tell you, the next is the main show." As soon as Zhongli Jingtian saw that something was wrong, he immediately took out the summoning talisman and crushed it in an instant. What he summoned was the Hell Blood Wolf, the strength of the immortal king level. Just a wisp of aura released made all the cultivators crawl on the ground, unable to struggle at all. And at this critical moment, guess what? The storyteller paused for a moment. "What's wrong with you? Hurry up and say it. If you say it well, you'll definitely be rewarded." "That's right. It's too unkind of you to keep us in suspense." The storyteller smiled. At this critical moment, the Hell Blood Wolf actually fled. What? Escaped? Could it be that he was afraid of that young master? Didn't that mean that the young master was at least an immortal venerable? With a single thought, many people sucked in a breath of cold air, and their bodies turned cold. Their hearts beat violently as if they were about to jump out of their throats. There's actually another immortal venerable in the human race. My ancestor. What's his name? I must pay a visit to him. Cries of surprise rang out continuously. Everyone had a fiery look on their faces. After a long time, everyone's gazes gathered on the storyteller. The storyteller stood up and cupped his fists to the crowd. "Everyone, I'm sorry. I have something to attend to at the last minute. Let's talk another day." "Hey, don't go. What's more important than making money? 10 spirit stones. Go on." "That's right. Are you afraid that you won't have enough spirit stones? I also have 5 here." Soon, in front of the storyteller, there was a pile of spirit stones. The storyteller put away the spirit stones calmly and cupped his fists at the crowd. "Since you were so generous, then I have to risk my life to accompany the gentleman. According to my inquiries, the young master's name is Sun Hao, a popular man around the godly cunning immortal." The storyteller said, "Young Master Sun Hao, a popular man around the godly cunning immortal? No wonder he is so powerful. So that's how it is. In that case, as long as you have a good relationship with young Master Sun Hao, you will have a chance to see the godly cunning immortal. Of course that's possible. Where is young Master Sun Hao? I want to admire him." After the discussion, everyone focused their eyes on the storyteller again. "You don't know what happened these days?" The storyteller was shocked. "If we knew, would we still be here listening to you?" "That's right. These days, I don't know what's going on, but several of my friends are avoiding me." "Me too. They seem to have made a big fortune, afraid that I will divide it." Hearing this, the storyteller smiled slightly. "Let me tell you, it's because young Master Sun Hao is selling immortal wine. Those friends of yours who are hiding from you must be the ones who bought the immortal wine." The storyteller said, "What? Buying a bottle of immortal wine and still hiding from me? Is it necessary?" "That's right. Am I the kind of person who hasn't drunk immortal wine? Really, it's like people have disappeared. I can't find them." When the crowd was quiet, the storyteller continued to speak. "You guys only know one thing and don't know the other. Young master's son, how is a popular man around the godly cunning immortal? How can the immortal wine he sells be comparable to ordinary immortal wine? According to my many inquiries, I learned a shocking piece of news. Anyone who buys immortal wine can participate in the godly cunning immortal's test. Once they pass the test, they can see the godly cunning immortal. What does it mean to see the godly cunning immortal? You should be very clear, right? The words fell. There was dead silence all around. Everyone's eyes widened, full of disbelief. Young master's son, how is actually choosing people for the godly cunning immortal? Incredible, unimaginable. If I learn this news, I have a good chance to see the godly cunning immortal. Heavens, let me see young master's son how. Young master's son how, where are you now? Everyone's eyes were fixed on the storyteller. The storyteller shook his head slightly. Since yesterday, young master's son how has not come to Zhongfu Immortal City again. The selection must have been completed. As soon as these words came out, why do I have to be outside these days? Heavens, such a good opportunity, just missed. Supreme good fortune, how can you leave me? All the cultivators were beating their chests and stamping their feet, remorseful. Not far from them, there's an old man sitting there, drinking tea and wiping cold sweat from time to time. Beside him sat a woman with a veil on her face. This old man was Sun Hao in disguise. There was no way. In order not to be recognized, he asked Ru Meng to help him dress up like this. Even the big wolf, he didn't dare to bring it with him. That red color was too conspicuous and could be recognized at a glance. These days, he sold wine in Zhongfu Immortal City, and it could be said that he was famous throughout Zhongfu Immortal City. Being famous should be a good thing. The problem was that these cultivators were too enthusiastic. One day, he was surrounded by a group of hot female cultivators, and the scene was out of control for a while. If it weren't for Ru Meng, he would have been torn apart by them on the spot. No, he tore his clothes apart. Then they would definitely press him to the ground and pounce on him like wolves and tigers. The consequences were simply unimaginable. They were cultivators, although they looked quite fresh on the outside. But he couldn't be fooled by the appearance. Accidentally. Gotcha, that would be the end. Fortunately, Ru Meng's breath was released and imprisoned them on the spot, so he could escape. One more day. That was even more terrifying. He was surrounded by a group of big men, constantly shouting his name. They threw all the treasures and immortal crystals on their bodies to him. They were even more fanatical than the fans on Earth. Fortunately, Ru Meng was there and smoothly rescued him. After a few days of lessons, Sun Hao clearly realized that people were afraid of being famous. Acting cool for a while, but there were endless troubles in the future. In the future, he had to be careful when using Ru Meng's power to act cool. It was best if, after acting cool, he immediately fled far away and never appeared again. Now, he dressed up like this to be able to walk in Zhongfu Immortal City without being disturbed by others. These days, walking in the West Prefecture Immortal City, there were rumors about himself everywhere. Moreover, these rumors were getting more and more outrageous. He simply boasted that he was omnipotent. He now had a deep understanding of how terrifying rumors could be. Ru Meng, do you have it? Sun Hao looked at Huang Ru Meng and asked, Young master, this tea house doesn't have it. Huang Ru Meng nodded slightly. Let's go. Then let's go to the next tea house. Okay, young master. The two quietly left the tea house without attracting anyone's attention. Chapter 260. West Prefecture Immortal City, in a private room of a tea house. Sir, don't kill me. I'll tell you everything. In front of Sun Hao, a cultivator said in fear and trepidation. Why would I kill you? We only sell immortal wine. After speaking, Sun Hao took out 3 bottles of immortal wine and handed them to the cultivator. Sir, how much is a bottle? The cultivator asked. 1 immortal crystal per bottle. Sun Hao said. What? Why don't you go? The immortal cultivator glanced at Huang Rumeng and weakly lowered his head. Sir, I only have 2 immortal crystals. Then buy 2 bottles. Sun Hao said. Yes, my lord. After throwing down 2 immortal crystals, the cultivator ran out. Take the immortal wine. Yes, I am. After taking away the 2 bottles of immortal wine, the cultivator fled in a sorry state. Not long after, the cultivator returned again and looked at Sun Hao with admiration. "What's up?" "Sir, no, young master. You are young master Sun Hao, right?" the cultivator asked. "Sure. Can't say, can't say." Sun Hao lowered his voice and said, "Greetings, young master Sun Hao." The cultivator aimed at Sun Hao and bowed deeply. "Don't stand on ceremony. Go." "Yes, young master." The immortal cultivator turned around and left, his eyes shining brightly. Ding! Blessing points +2. Hearing this, Sun Hao opened the blessing point panel. It read, 183455. He still needed more than 10,000 to gather 200,000. However, this was too difficult. Since the blessing point reached 100,000, he could see immortal power. Each person could only harvest 3 blessing points at most. Moreover, it was only limited to powerhouses above the Ascendant realm and could only be harvested once. No matter how long it took, they could not harvest again. This was nothing. The only thing that annoyed him was that he had to sell some flowers to help people break through and ascend. Then, when he sold the celestial wine to him, he actually couldn't get any blessing points. In other words, only those who reached the Ascendant realm by their own ability could harvest the blessing points. Of the 400,000 bottles of immortal wine he brewed, there were still 400,000 bottles left. It was too difficult to find a cultivator who met the requirements. "Rumung, is this tea house still there?" Sun Hao asked. "Young master, there is no one who can sell immortal wine," Huang Rumung said. "Rumung, what about the entire central prefecture immortal city?" Sun Hao asked. "That person just now is the last one," Huang Rumung said. Sigh. Sun Hao sighed heavily. The central prefecture immortal city could be said to be the center of the Skylaw continent, where all the experts gathered. Even here, there was no one who met the requirements to harvest blessing points. Therefore, there shouldn't be many people left in the other 4 major cities. In that case, it was time to leave the Tianluo continent and harvest the blessing points in other continents. Rumung, besides the Tianluo continent, which other place has the most experts? Sun Hao asked. "Young master, in the entire Xiang star, the place with the most experts is the Penglai continent. In that place, even the weakest are half immortals. There are even more immortals." Huang Ruming said. "No way. Wasn't it said that the human race only had the 9th spirit? Why are there still a lot of immortals?" Sun Hao was puzzled. "Young master, the 9 immortals of the human race refer to those who have passed the immortal tribulation through their own efforts. Such people are generally very strong. However, there are many big forces that, in order to cultivate the strong, use some kind of forbidden technique or rely on some kind of medicinal pill to produce immortals in batches. Such immortals are called false immortals. They can't improve in their lives, just like the 4 people you killed a few days ago. 3 of them were false immortals," Huang Ruming said. Hearing this, Sun Hao frowned slightly. In this world, even immortals could be produced in batches. Wasn't this too terrifying? Could he produce immortals in batches, forming an army to protect himself? At that time, wouldn't it be cool to go out together? Even if he didn't create immortals, he could also summon an army of immortal beasts, which must be good. He would find a chance to try it later. Rumung, on the Penglai continent, except for the 9 immortals of the human race, the other immortals are all false immortals? Sun Hao asked. Of course not. Huang Ruming shook her head slightly. Although Xiang Star is a way star, there are still many branches of forces stationed here. Just like the Zhongli family. In fact, their main family is not here, but outside the distant starry sky. And such forces generally have immortals stationed in the dark, but they don't show up on the surface. Huang Ruming said, the lowest strength was a half immortal, and there should be a bunch of false immortals. Moreover, there are many immortals. Such a continent should be able to harvest a lot of blessing points. It was worth seeing for himself. It was best to collect the blessing points within a month. Rumung, let's go back to the Supreme Court, pack up, and then go to the Penglai continent. Sun Hao said, Young master, aren't we going back to the Great Monster Mountain? Huang Ruming asked. No need. There should be nothing wrong with Miss Xiaolan taking care of it. Sun Hao said, Okay, young master. Huang Rumeng took Sun Hao through the layers of ripples and disappeared from the Zhongfu immortal city. When they appeared again, they had already arrived in front of the forbidden attic of the Supreme Court. Greetings, young master. As soon as he landed, he saw 3 figures coming up and saluting respectfully. Of these 3 people, he knew 2 of them. The other was an old man wearing a bamboo hat and a straw cape. He looked like a fisherman. No need to be polite. Miss Luyan, I haven't seen you for a long time. Miss Ruoshi, you're here too. May I ask who this is? Sun Hao looked at old man Jiuyo and asked, Young master, my name is old man Jiuyo. You can call me old Gio. I heard that young master is good at fishing. I came to ask young master for advice. Please don't hesitate to teach me. Old man Jiuyo walked straight up and saluted with his fists clasped. At the corner of his mouth, there was a faint smile. Fishing Dao, in the entire Xiang star, who can compare except me? Even if the godly cunning immortal is powerful, can he surpass me in fishing Dao? As long as he agrees, then I will bet with him. At that time, it will be no problem to win some immortal crystals. Old man Jiuyo thought secretly, and his heart became more and more proud. However, there was no change on his face. Fishing? The corner of Sun Hao's mouth rose. I haven't fished for a long time. It just so happens that my skill is itchy. When, young master, it depends on when you are free. Old man Jiuyo said, How about tomorrow? It's not fun fishing alone. Why don't we find more people? Miss Ruoshi, Miss Luyan, you should also participate. Sun Hao said. Hearing this, the 2 women's expressions changed drastically. They waved their hands. Young master, we don't know how to fish. It's okay, I'll teach you then. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. Since the young master had spoken, he naturally couldn't spoil the young master's mood. Then it's decided happily. Let's have dinner together tonight. Sun Hao said. Eat. Luo Liuyan's eyes flashed. Now, he was the only half-immortal. Even his disciple had surpassed him by too much. Being able to freeload a meal at young master's place would definitely allow him to break through to become an immortal. With the young master here, the Thunder Tribulation Giant would definitely not dare to come over, and he could safely cross the tribulation. Thank you, young master. Luo Luyan bowed and saluted. You're welcome. The 3 of you, please come in. There's no meat today. Let's just have some vegetables. Sun Hao said with a smile. Young master, we don't seem to have brought any vegetables out. Huang Rumeng said. It's okay. Let's plant a little. Sun Hao said. What? Plant some? Plant it now. Can this work? Several people's eyes were full of doubts. Especially old man Jiuyo. His eyes showed extreme reluctance. Although Taoist Ruo, she had told him many times that what the young master ate was extremely not simple. But she didn't say what the young master ate. Always hanging his appetite, he ran to the young master's residence, but he didn't even enter the door. From the outside, the inside was extremely ordinary, and there was nothing extraordinary. From the looks of it, it looked like a mortal mansion. Now that he saw himself, he didn't see anything extraordinary. No matter how he looked at it, he was immortal. If he grew vegetables now, could they be eaten? Don't not even sprout when the time comes. Rumeng, go and help me invite the Grand Dean over. One more person, just one more pair of chopsticks. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. After Huang Rumeng finished speaking, she turned into an afterimage and left quickly. This, old man Jiuyo's scalp exploded and cold sweat flowed. This girl, who looked like a mortal, was so fast that even he couldn't react. This was too terrifying. Could it be that the girl was also an immortal, and her realm was far above him? Thinking of this, old man Jiuyo took a breath and cold sweat flowed. He put away his contempt, carefully followed Sun Hao, and walked into the backyard. The moment he opened the backyard door, old man Jiuyo was like an electric shock, and he couldn't help but look sluggish. Chapter 261. Phew! A surge of celestial energy surged toward him. Taking a deep breath was like cultivating for a month. Old man Jiuyo's expression froze, surprise written all over his face. He swept his gaze across and stared at the cherry trees. These are all immortal trees. Unbelievable. Unexpectedly, The Supreme Court is much richer than the old man's Sunluo temple. A bitter look appeared on old man Juyo's face. Everyone, feel free to take a seat. Don't stand on ceremony. After Sun Hao finished speaking, he picked up the hoe and walked into the backyard. Luo Luyin and the other two did not sit down, but followed behind Sun Hao. Young master, let me help? Luo Luyin said. There's no need. I'll just plant tonight's food. I alone am enough. Sun Hao picked up a hoe and began to dig the ground, sowing seeds, watering, and fertilizing. All the movements were done in an orderly manner. Old man Juyo stared blankly, his face calm. That's it. Can it grow? Is there anything to eat tonight? That's good too. I've long since stopped eating such mundane things. Old man Juyo thought secretly, his eyes fixed on Sun Hao. Young master, what are you doing? Do you want to play the piano? What does playing the guqin have to do with growing vegetables? However, I heard from them that young master zither playing has a special effect that can strengthen the soul, improve talent, and even improve the realm. Old man Juyo looked at Sun Hao, and a strange light bloomed in his eyes. If the legend was true, then his talent would also increase rapidly. He might even be able to break through to the next realm. The more he thought about it, the more excited the ninth nether old man became. His eyes were filled with anticipation. He stared at Sun Hao, motionless. Clang. The sound of the zither reverberated outwards. When it reached old man Juyo's ears, there was nothing strange about it. It sounded no different from a mortal playing the zither. The voice of the secular world. It's completely the voice of the secular world. Did Ruo she lie to this old man? What's in it for her? Old man Juyo frowned in thought and secretly shook his head. Suddenly, his eyebrows twitched and his eyes widened in disbelief at the scene before him. They saw, under the lingering sound of the zither, the vegetable seeds that had just been taken down all burst out of the soil. Then it grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. Immortal energy swirled around the vegetable leaves, making them look like pieces of art that were too beautiful to behold. This is a low-grade celestial medicine. Heavens, such a big piece. How many celestial crystals is it worth? What? It's still growing, a middle-grade immortal medicine. Is this a dream? High-grade immortal medicine, my ancestor. Supreme-grade immortal medicine. This is a supreme-grade immortal medicine. Such a large area. If I were to sell it, it would be supreme immortal medicine. I never thought that there would actually be a day where I could see a supreme immortal medicine. They've all grown into immortal, godly medicines. Hiss, boundless cold air poured into his body. Old man Gio opened his mouth and mumbled for a long time, unable to react. Shock and disbelief were written all over his face. Boom! His heart pounded violently, and it was difficult for him to calm down. What happened today was unimaginable and unimaginable. Didn't the immortal, godly medicine need to absorb the essence of heaven and earth for tens of thousands of years before it could grow? How did it grow after young master played a song? Moreover, it only took a short moment. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, who would have believed it? What kind of person was this seemingly mortal young master? He could actually grow immortal, godly medicines. Such a character. Even the immortal emperor was nothing in front of him. I didn't expect that I, old man Juyo, will be fortunate enough to meet such a character. I will die without regrets in this life. No, young master just said to grow some vegetarian dishes. Don't tell me that these immortal, godly medicines are just vegetarian dishes for eating in young master's eyes. Is it possible that we have to eat these vegetarian dishes tonight? My ancestor, my biological father. An unparalleled excitement surged through old man Joyo's chest. His heart didn't stop his command at all, beating violently. For a while, he couldn't calm down at all. On the other side, Luo Luyin and Taoist Ruo, she stood in place. The two opened their small mouths and muttered to themselves. They didn't say a word for a long time. That kind of shock and surprise was written all over their faces. Hiss! The two women took countless breaths of cold air before they calmed down. So the immortal, godly medicines grow like this. Young master's means are really terrifying. The two muttered to themselves and looked at Sun Hao. Their faces showed incomparable awe. "Young master, the Grand Dean is here." At this time, a voice came from the front yard. Immediately afterward, under the leadership of Huang Rumeng, Zhongli Lang walked in carefully. Zhongli Lang's face showed incomparable reverence. That day, when he broke through to become an immortal, facing that terrifying immortal tribulation, he would probably die tragically on the spot with only one blow. Unexpectedly, after the Thunder Tribulation Giant saw the young master, he was scared and fled in a panic. Not only that, but the Thunder Tribulation Giant also planted the light of Thunder Tribulation in his body. This was a supreme good fortune. Everything was given by the young master. This kindness could not be repaid in 100 lifetimes. "Young master, don't worry. Even if I die, I will never let the dragon invade us." Zhongli Lang muttered to himself, firmly clenching his fists. As soon as he raised his head, his pupils shrank and his eyes widened. That is, my mother, they are all immortal, godly medicines, such a large area, at least hundreds of them. They didn't even come to see the young master yesterday. Why did they grow so much today? Could it be that this was also planted by the young master? Thinking about it, the skin all over his body was tight, the back of his head was numb, and his body was trembling. His jaw seemed to fall off, and he was extremely shocked. Hiss! Boundless cold air poured into his body. His whole body trembled involuntarily. After taking a few deep breaths, he felt a little better. A few days ago, when he saw those immortal trees, he was excited for several days. Until today, he felt a little better. Unexpectedly, seeing the young master plant the supreme divine medicine today, his heart didn't listen to him again. "Young master, what kind of existence are you? It's so terrifying. It seems that the dragon race is nothing in front of you. Even the terrible existence behind the dragon race. When he sees you, I'm afraid he has to kneel down and lick you. Not to mention a small Zhongli family. With the young master's support, I don't have to be afraid of anything in the future." Zhongli Lang thought secretly. "Grand Dean, sit anywhere, it will be ready soon. Rumeng, help me cook." "Yes, young master." Under everyone's stunned gaze. Washing vegetables, cutting vegetables, stir-frying vegetables. After a while, several side dishes were placed on the table. Everyone sat down in order. "Everyone, I can only eat some vegetarian dishes. Please don't mind. Don't just stand there, eat." Under the leadership of Sun Hao, everyone picked up the dishes in turn. Old Man Jiyo picked up a piece of radish, his chopsticks shook, and the radish slipped into the bowl. After a few times, Old Man Jiyo successfully picked up the radish in his bowl. Supreme, divine medicine. I didn't expect that I, Old Man Jiyo, could taste the supreme, divine medicine. This life is worth it, even if I die. He took a bite. The fragrance was full of sweetness and saltiness. At this moment, all the taste bud cells were active. So delicious. Infinite immortal power surged through the whole body from the meridians. The immortal body was growing rapidly. Just for a moment. Kacha! The barrier of the realm cracked. He broke through from the yellow immortal realm to the profound immortal realm at once. I just took a bite, and it made me break through. It's incredible. This time, this old man is really right to come. The young master is so good to me. I must not win when fishing tomorrow. Old Man Jiyo muttered to himself, and secretly made a decision. Chapter 262. Immortal Elixir. The young master is cooking with immortal elixir. I think I can break through after eating it. Luo Luyin picked up a small cabbage with an excited face. She opened her big mouth and took a bite. After chewing a few times, she swallowed it. Infinite immortal power surged all over her body. Kacha! In an instant, Luo Luyin successfully broke through and reached the immortal realm. The nascent soul in her dantian directly burst apart, turning into a body-refining force that flowed all over her body. Luo Luyin shed her mortal body and grew into an immortal body. At the same time, endless black clouds in an instant covered the entire Zhongzhou land airtight. Various colors of lightning kept lingering in the black clouds, bursting out of frightening power. In the dark clouds, The Thunder Tribulation giant moved forward cautiously, showing a look of fear on his face. God bless me. I hope I don't meet the supreme existence this time. After praying for a long time, the Thunder Tribulation giant swept to the ground. Suddenly, his scalp exploded, his body trembled, and he sat directly on the ground. My lord, why is there another supreme existence? Where the supreme existence is, there will be people crossing the tribulation. Why am I so bitter? No, what did they just eat? Thinking so, the Thunder Tribulation giant summoned up his courage and swept his eyes on the table. Immediately, his pupils contracted and his face changed dramatically. Shock was written all over his face. My God, that is immortal elixir. So many are they used as dishes? The ruler seems to have a few immortal elixirs, but he kept them as treasures and didn't show them at all. I didn't expect that the supreme existence would eat immortal elixirs as dishes. Who in this world can do that? If the ruler sees this scene, I'm afraid his jaw will drop. The Thunder Tribulation giant kept swallowing, showing a look of eagerness. Finally, he weakly withdrew his gaze, took out the thunder hammer, pulled out a ray of lightning from it, and threw it to Luo Luyan. The Thunder Tribulation giant's face was full of reluctance. Finally, he took a big step and disappeared. The black clouds dispersed, and the sky instantly became clear. The sun went down in the west, and the sunset covered the sky, which was beautiful. Everyone stared at the sky blankly, with a look of astonishment. Ran? Thunder Tribulation giant actually ran away. The young master didn't even move, but he scared the Thunder Tribulation giant away. Incredible. They looked at Sun Hao with admiration on their faces. Everyone, why are you looking at me? Eat it. It won't taste good if it gets cold. Sun Hao's voice woke them up. Yes, young master. Everyone began to pick up the food and continued to eat. Woo-woo. The blood wolf was at Sun Hao's feet and kept rubbing against his trousers. Sun Hao looked down at the blood wolf and shook his head for a while. You want to eat it? Woo. Blood wolf kept nodding. As a wolf, shouldn't you eat meat? This is a vegetable dish. Although it's surrounded by immortal power, it stands to reason that you shouldn't be able to digest it. Sun Hao said. Woo. The blood wolf kept growling, its eyes shining with a strange light, staring at the cabbage on Sun Hao's chopsticks. All right, you can have it. After speaking, Sun Hao picked up a bowl and put it on the ground for Blood Wolf. Sun Hao touched the Blood Wolf's head and pushed away the left and right hair with his hand. He found that there were 2 horns on the Blood Wolf's head. These 2 horns had obviously just grown out and were very tender. You're a wolf, and you have horns? As soon as these words came out, it instantly attracted everyone's attention. Everyone narrowed their eyes and looked, and their scalps exploded. The shocked look was indescribable in words. This blood wolf is evolving. It seems to be evolving into an ancient divine beast Shilin. This must be the result of following the young master. My God, the young master can actually make an ordinary blood wolf evolve into a divine beast. It's really an eternal legend. It's really unseen and unheard of. Several people use divine sense to communicate and talk for a while. That shocked expression did not dissipate for a long time. After dinner, Dean, come fishing with us tomorrow. Sun Hao said. Fishing? No way, right? Now is the time for the dragon race to attack the human race. Young master, you should find someone else. Zhongli Lang's face was full of bitterness. Young master, I don't know how to fish. It's okay, I can teach you. Sun Hao said. Hearing this, Zhongli Lang couldn't help but sigh secretly. Okay, young master. Zhongli Lang nodded. Dean, where's a good place to fish around here? Sun Hao asked. Young master, Bul Lake is a good place to fish. It's deep, there are many fish, and the environment is good. Zhongli Lang said. Okay, let's go there tomorrow. Somewhere in the southern seabed of Tianluo continent, in a temporarily built palace. Dragon Lord Qing Fu sat in the main seat, holding a jade bottle in his hand, and kept looking at it. When he opened the bottle cap, his pupils shrank, and his face changed dramatically. There is such an immortal brew in this world. Qing Fu took the jade bottle and poured it into his mouth. Strong immortal power and terrifying Tao rhyme surged through every cell in his body. Just for a moment. Kacha! He immediately broke through from the yellow immortal realm to the profound immortal realm. Qing Fu's eyes widened, full of disbelief. Just drinking a cup of immortal brew, he couldn't break through the realm, but he broke through just like that. Not only that, his physical body actually doubled. Unimaginable. Unimaginable. Dong dong. Qing Fu's heart beat violently. This thing, if the dragon race can brew it, then it is just around the corner to revive the glory of the dragon race and rule the whole world. If I tell this news to my father, will he still say that I am a waste? I'm afraid he will transfer me back immediately. The more he thought about it, the more excited Qing Fu became. After a few long breaths, he calmed down. He looked at the man kneeling in front of him. Where did this thing come from? My lord, I asked someone to buy this thing in Zhongfu Immortal City. The man said, Bought? Then why did you only buy 3 bottles, not more? Qing Fu shouted. When the man heard this, his face was full of bitterness. My lord, I also want to, but that person only sold 3 bottles and only allowed to buy once. There is such a thing? Qing Fu muttered to himself. What is that person's name? My lord, that person's name is Sun Hao. He seems to be a popular person around the godly cunning immortal. His means are superb. A few days ago, he killed several immortals without using any power. The man said, just relying on his physical body, he is so powerful. Qing Fu frowned slightly, revealing a thoughtful look. Soon after, Qing Fu looked at the man and said, You did a good job this time, a great merit. This matter must not be spread out. Do you understand? Yes, Dragon Lord. When the man retreated, Qing Fu shouted softly, Come. My lord, what are your orders? Go and ask General Yan. Qing Fu said. Yes. A moment later, a man in red armor knelt in front of Qing Fu. Greetings, my lord. No need for formalities, General Yan. Come take a look. Yes, my lord. Taking the jade bottle from Qing Fu's hand, opening the bottle cap, the red armor man's face changed drastically. This is the supreme immortal wine. I only drank 1 bottle, and I broke through to the Xian immortal realm, and my physical body doubled. Qing Fu said, What? The red-armored man's eyes widened, full of disbelief. My lord, you are. I called you over to let you send these 2 bottles of immortal wine to my father, and tell him that on Xiang Star, there's a person named Sun Hao who can brew this kind of immortal wine. Father knows what to do. Qing Fu said, Yes, my lord. The red-armored man knelt and saluted, standing up. The red-armored man quickly retreated. Soon after, reporting, my lord, General Qi requests an audience. Summoned. Immediately afterward, a man knelt in front of Qing Fu. How is it? Qing Fu asked. My lord, the second young master agreed, saying that his clone will descend at the critical moment. Hearing this, Qing Fu let out a long sigh of relief. With the support of the second brother, this time, he could attack safely. Human race? Godly cunning immortal? You must surrender, or else die. And Sun Hao, you must become my royal brewer. When I slaughter the humans first, I will catch you in my hands. Come, my lord. Why hasn't the divine turtle clan arrived yet? My lord, I don't know. In that case, the agreement with them is broken. Pass my order, the 10 armies attack. Qing Fu said. Yes, my lord. The messenger quickly retreated. Chapter 263. South of Tianluo Continent. A small fishing village by the sea. It was the tradition of this village to work at sunrise and rest at sunset. On this day, the sea was suddenly foggy, making people unable to tell the direction. Husband, it's too foggy today. Don't go out to sea. My child's mother, don't worry the sea for me, old Chung. I know it like the palm of my hand. Even with my eyes closed, I won't get lost. The fishing boats chased each other and disappeared into the fog. The family on the shore withdrew their gaze, worried. Suddenly, howl! A heaven-shaking roar resounded through the world. The white fog surged, and the waves shook. 2 big, blood-red eyes directly penetrated the fog and stared at the villagers. At this moment, All the villagers were like sinking into an ice cellar, and their whole bodies were cold. Their bodies trembled involuntarily. That's a giant dragon, my God. Husband, come back. Shouts, screams, cries, sounds intertwined. The whole scene was noisy. The silver dragon stared at the crowd and spoke in human language. You ants, how dare you eat my kind? It's disrespectful. We have come here to slaughter you all. As soon as these words came out, all the villagers' faces changed drastically, and a few people knelt on the ground, shivering. Lord Dragon God, we didn't. Spare me, spare me. We are just mortals. How could it be? Shouts kept ringing. Many people ran wildly and ran out of the village. However, they had only run a few steps. Ow! A dragon roar shook the sky. Dozens of giant dragons descended from the sky, blocking everyone's way. Whoosh! Dozens of dragon breaths were aimed at the small mountain village and blasted down. No! Desperate cries kept ringing. Boom! There was a loud noise, and the world trembled. When everything returned to calm, the entire mountain village was moved to the ground and disappeared. Dozens of giant dragons looked at the ground, their faces full of contempt. Little ants, unable to withstand a single blow. One dragon is enough. There is no need to send out the whole army. Just as these words were finished, swish! Thousands of air-piercing sounds rang. Wisps of white light threads shot out from the ground. In an instant, dozens of giant dragons were tied up and pulled down like dumplings. Boom! Boom! Before they could react, they crashed heavily into the ground, their heads spinning. Not good. This is the dragon trapping formation. Damn it, I fell for it. In order to lure us into a trap, they even abandoned their own clansmen. You're wrong. Those were all illusions. What? The dozens of giant dragons had ugly expressions on their faces as they struggled nonstop. However, they were unable to break free no matter how hard they tried. Swish, swish, suddenly, dozens of rays of light pierced through the air. They turned into dozens of figures and stood in midair. According to the first principal's orders, we are to cut open their stomachs and collect their meat after killing them. Yes, go. Swish. Dozens of figures quickly flew down. Seeing this, the giant dragon sneered. How dare a few ants like you attack us? Even if I stand here and let you slash at me, you won't be able to do anything. The next second, light flashed. A giant dragon's abdomen was cut open and its internal organs were dug out. It looked at its abdomen in disbelief. Another ray of light. The giant dragon was horrified to find that its dragon scales, which had resisted everything, were actually torn apart and separated from its body. The pain had not yet come. Swish! A ray of light flashed. The dragon head was chopped off and rolled far away. Dozens of giant dragons, without even a chance to resist, were chopped to death on the spot. Let's go. After putting away the dragon meat, dozens of people turned into long rainbows and broke through the sky. And scenes like this were staged throughout the South Bank. Tianluo continent, in a temporary palace at the bottom of the sea. Damn it! Ching Fu slammed the table, and the table shattered into powder. He pointed at the dragon general who was kneeling in front of him, his fingers trembling with anger. 30,000 troops, gone just like that. Master, this general failed his duty and fell into the human race's trap, causing the 10 armies to be wiped out. Master, please grant this general the death penalty. The dragon general knelt on the ground with a determined look. Master, no. Master, now is the time to use the dragon. Let him atone for his crimes. Many dragon generals knelt on the ground and begged for mercy on his behalf. Shut up. With a loud shout, all of the dragon generals immediately shut their mouths. Take him away and behead him. Yes. The dragon general was dragged away. How many soldiers are left? Ching Fu asked. Master, the 10 armies are all old and weak. There are still 80,000 elites left. A dragon general stood out. 80,000? Ching Fu frowned slightly. He revealed a thoughtful look. After a moment, pass down the order. Send 20,000 soldiers to transform into their original form and disperse the attack. We must slaughter those ants. Yes. The messenger quickly retreated. 2 hours later. Report. A messenger hurriedly ran in. Speak. Reporting to Master, the army of 20,000 was completely wiped out. As soon as these words came out, Ching Fu's body staggered and almost fell. These were 20,000 elites, but they were completely wiped out? How did a small ant do it? After calming down, Ching Fu looked at the messenger. What happened? Master, this scattered attack. Not a single human, no, not a single ant was seen. In the process of searching for the soldiers, they were suddenly surrounded by dozens of ants. Every one of them has the strength of the half-celestial realm, and they easily killed our soldiers. Moreover, they skinned them and emptied their internal organs. They must be preparing to eat them. As soon as these words came out, Ching Fu was so angry that her whole body trembled, and anger was written all over her face. Damn it, damn it. Too presumptuous. All the ants are preparing to eat my clan? How dare this? How can they be so strong? Ching Fu asked. Master, according to the priest's investigation, the reason why they are so strong is because of a kind of immortal wine. The messenger said. As soon as these words came out, Ching Fu's body trembled, and her pupils shrank slightly. She had just gotten 3 bottles. Could it be that they drank that? The effect didn't seem to be so strong, right? Immortal wine? What's going on? Master, a man named Sun Hao brewed it. After drinking it, it can greatly enhance an ant's physical body, talent, realm, soul, state of mind. It is said that some people only drink 1 bottle and advance from the ascendant realm to the half-celestial realm. Their physical body directly becomes dozens of times stronger than our clan. That kind of immortal wine is a secret medicine specially developed for ants, and it has little effect on other races. Even so, after drinking it, my clan can increase their strength by nearly 2 times. As soon as these words came out, Ching Fu took a breath of cold air. If this kind of thing spread in the human race, then in the future, it would definitely be the world of the human race. Now, what should I do? Since that was the case, then I have to slaughter them all, leave no one alive, and eliminate future troubles. This time, I will personally lead the team. Phew! Just then, in front of Ching Fu, there were suddenly layers of ripples. An old man, with a turtle shell on his back, appeared out of thin air. This person was the ancestor of the divine turtle clan, Xian Lao. Lord Dragon Lord. I'm late. I'm really sorry. Xian Lao said. You know you're late? Our agreement is invalid. Ching Fu snorted coldly. Dragon Lord, don't. You also know that my clan's speed can't be compared with other races at all. If I hadn't used a secret technique along the way, I'm afraid I would have been late for a month. Dragon Lord, with my clan leading the way, I guarantee the safety of the Dragon Clan. What do you think? Xian Lao said. Come on. Hey, since the Dragon Lord doesn't want to cooperate, then this old man will take his leave. Originally, this old man had a plan, but now it seems that there is no need. Wait. Chapter 264. Sun Hao's residence in the backyard. The flower fairy was watering the soul-sinking divine wood. At this time, quack, a duck's cry sounded. The 9 heavens god Luan ran over quickly. Greetings, senior. The flower fairy hurriedly clasped her fists and saluted. No need to be polite. This old man is hungry. You know what to do, right? The 9 heavens god Luan said. Senior, I know. After speaking, the flower fairy waved her right hand and took out hundreds of blood-colored crystals. These crystals were transformed by the soul-devouring insect. Senior, please, the flower fairy said. Please what? If you don't swing it, how can I eat it? What? The flower fairy's face changed slightly, and her body trembled. She carefully picked up a blood-colored crystal and swung hard. There was no reaction. She couldn't swing it at all. Did she need to scan it with her divine sense? The flower fairy glanced at the blood-colored crystal. Immediately, Kacha, the soul-devouring insect, broke out of its shell. Without waiting for the flower fairy to react, it turned into a long rainbow and rushed away. Seeing this scene, the flower fairy stood dumbfounded, and her face changed drastically. What are you still doing? Do you want this old man to chase after it? Don't let it escape. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. The nine heavens god Luan's voice awakened the flower fairy. The flower fairy's divine sense swept, soared into the sky, and went straight to the soul-devouring insect. Tianluo continent, Zhongfu immortal city. People came and went, and the flow was endless. Looking at the whole scene, it was a bustling scene. Early in the morning, buzz, the world trembled, and layers of ripples appeared. Immediately afterward, one figure after another walked out of the ripples and stood in all directions. Behind these people, there was a huge turtle shell, which looked indestructible. That's the Divine Turtle Clan. Why are they here? So many. I'm afraid there are as many as 100,000. What do they want to do? Do they want to attack our human race? A group of cultivators stared blankly at the sky, and their faces changed. They saw that the divine turtle stood in the sky, motionless. Phew! Golden turtle shell phantoms flew out from their bodies one after another, connecting together and enveloping heaven and earth. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped the entire West Prefecture Immortal City. From a distance, it looked like a golden shield covering the West Prefecture Immortal City. They are here to deal with us. Damn it, they want to kill us all. Cries of alarm rang out continuously. Many immortal cultivators penetrated the protective array and fled to the sky. However, swish! A dazzling golden light shone on the golden shield and sprinkled down from the sky. In an instant, it landed on the body of the immortal cultivator flying toward the sky. Sizzle! The voices kept ringing out. These cultivators didn't even have the chance to scream before they were smashed into dust. When the cultivators below saw this, their expressions changed dramatically and their bodies trembled. Damn it! Bastard race wants to slaughter my city? What should I do? Everyone, don't be afraid. Let's unite and fight them to the death. Screams and shouts could be heard from the city, resulting in a great commotion. Many immortal cultivators were running around in all directions. Not long later, buzz, the sky shook again. Tens of thousands of ripples filled the sky. Giant dragons drilled out of the ripples and covered the sky. Each one exuded a shocking pressure, and the weakest reached the half-immortal realm. Seeing this scene, the immortal cultivators in the city trembled violently and broke out in a cold sweat. Dragon race. It turns out to be them. Damn bastard. To be a lackey, what should I do? Bastard's defense is too strong. I'm afraid this cage can't be broken. The faces of many immortal cultivators were full of despair. They looked at the giant dragons in the sky and shivered. The dignified dragon race, passed down from ancient times, is a race blessed by the heavens. All along, we have ruled the 3 realms and suppressed the 100 territories. Once the command is given, no one dares to disobey. And now, you lowly ants, actually eat my people. How can I be satisfied if I don't slaughter you all? A man in a golden robe stood in the air, majestic and awe-inspiring. His voice was like thunder, echoing between heaven and earth in the central prefecture Immortal City and lingering for a long time. These voices reached the ears of everyone and shook their minds. What? Eat the dragon race. Which great god is so awesome. Amazing. Really a model for our generation. I must get to know such a character. Since ancient times, I have never heard of anyone eating the dragon race. I didn't expect that someone in this era did it. It's really domineering. It's really an era of the rise of the human race. It's really an amazing era. This can shatter the arrogance of the dragon race. What's the harm in dying? Many people's faces showed a look of great satisfaction. That expression, as if countless years of suffocation were released at this moment. Seeing this scene, the golden-robed man in the sky couldn't help but change his expression slightly. It stood to reason that when he said this, it would definitely cause the entire human race to be in chaos. But now, it didn't have the slightest effect. Damn it! I'll listen to the order, break the greater ray for me. The order was given. Thousands of giant dragons moved at the same time. They spewed out dragon breaths, gathered together, and fell straight down. The golden shield that the Divine Turtle Clan used did not stop it in the slightest. The dragon breath fell directly on the city protection great array. Boom! There was a loud noise, and the world shook. Kacha, the city protection great array, shook violently, and cracks spread in all directions. Soon, the great array was restored to its original state. This sound awakened all the cultivators. The excitement on their faces disappeared in an instant, and all turned into horror. Don't be afraid, everyone. The godly cunning immortal will bless us. Yes, with the godly cunning immortal here, what is a mere dragon race? Everyone, pray to the godly cunning immortal together. Such a voice sounded constantly around the city. Immediately afterward, whether it was cultivators or mortals, at this moment they all knelt on the ground, put their hands together, and began to pray. Supreme God, supreme existence, great godly cunning immortal, I am your most devout believer. I hope you can save all living beings. You are so kind, you will definitely hear our voices. Such a voice sounded throughout the central prefecture immortal city. It looked like millions of people were chanting sutras. The scene was spectacular and hard to describe in words. The golden-robed man, looked at this scene and smiled coldly. Even if there is the godly cunning immortal, I'm afraid he can't save you. Now, this should be ambushing us in the southern region, right? When we slaughter you all, we will arrest the godly cunning immortal. The most important thing is to arrest that somehow. The golden-robed man's eyes were full of cold smiles. Continue to attack. There was a loud shout. Thousands of dragons opened their mouths at the same time. Thousands of dragon breaths circled rapidly in the sky and converged together. Buzz! Wherever it went, layers of transparent ripples were shaken up. The shocking pressure emanated from the dragon breath and enveloped the earth. The city protection great array seemed to be unable to withstand this pressure and was rapidly deforming and distorting, seeing that the dragon breath was about to blast on the great array. At this time, presumptuous, a loud roar shook the heavens. The terrifying dragon breath actually shattered and disappeared on the spot. Chapter 265. Over the West Prefecture Immortal City, a man in a white robe descended from the sky and stood high in the sky. This person was Mushiji. A silver moon blade floated behind him, buzzing and trembling. The aura of an immortal spread in all directions, enveloping heaven and earth. At this moment, in the sky, tens of thousands of giant dragons were like sinking into a swamp, unable to move. Seeing this scene, the group of immortal cultivators below were full of surprise and looked straight at it. Immortal! That's an immortal! The godly cunning immortal is too efficacious. From now on, I only believe in the godly cunning immortal. The group of immortal cultivators muttered to themselves, their faces full of brilliance. Their eyes were fixed directly on Mushiji, motionless, only to see, after Mushiji swept a circle. Presumptuous, how dare you slaughter my human race? In that case, you don't need to exist in this world. Mushiji waved his right hand, and the moon blade behind him turned into a whirlwind, quickly slashing toward a giant dragon. Little ant, even if you aren't immortal, so what? Don't even think about breaking my defense. The giant dragon saw the flying moon blade, and his face was full of a contemptuous smile. The next second, the giant dragon's face changed drastically, staring blankly at the body that was penetrated, full of disbelief. Wow! A sound rang out. The dragon's scales disappeared cleanly. Then, the dragon head was cut off and flew away from the body. Until death, this giant dragon understood what was going on. However, this was not the end. Swish! The moon blade fell rapidly and hit a black turtle. Boom! The black turtle exploded and died tragically on the spot. A big hole was broken in the golden shield. The giant dragon's body fell straight down with the big hole. Boom! The giant dragon's body fell heavily in the middle prefecture immortal city. The moon blade flew back, and the city protection array was restored to its original state. Everything returned to calm. The group of immortal cultivators in the middle prefecture immortal city stared blankly at the giant dragon's body, full of disbelief. They opened their mouths wide and murmured for a long time, but did not say a word. The sound of gasping came one after another. It took them a long time to calm down. With just a simple move, he killed a giant dragon and blasted that tortoise into pieces. So strong. Which immortal is he? Isn't this too powerful? Isn't he Mu Shiji, the heir of the Mu family? How did he become an immortal? What? I only saw him half a month ago. Isn't he just an ascendant realm? It's only been half a month, and you've already become an immortal? Unbelievable. It seems that he must have obtained great fortune from the godly, cunning immortal. Cries of surprise could be heard continuously. The dragon race has always treated us as food, swallowing us whenever they want. The weak are prey to the strong. This is an unchanging truth. You can't blame anyone. However, since the dragon clan is weak, they must be prepared to be devoured by my clan. You could divide this dragon among yourselves. Mu Shiji's voice came from the sky and resounded in everyone's ears. When the cultivators heard this, their eyes widened and their faces were filled with shock. The immortal wants us to eat this dragon. Should I eat or not? Since ancient times, I've never heard of anyone eating a dragon. If we eat one, wouldn't we be even stronger than the ancient almighty beings? Since that's the case, what are you afraid of? Eat it. The worst case is death. A group of cultivators looked at the dragon's corpse, their eyes full of fiery gazes. Soon someone moved. His body turned into an afterimage and rushed toward the dragon's corpse. He picked up a knife and cut it fiercely. When someone took the lead, someone followed. One by one, they quickly rushed toward the dragon's corpse. Each took out a weapon and began to cut. When such a scene was seen by the golden-robed man, the corner of his mouth twitched slightly, and his face was full of anger. "You ants, who dares?" The golden-robed man roared loudly. This sound resounded through heaven and earth, shaking the ears of the cultivators. Many people stopped what they were doing, and their eyes showed panic. "What are you afraid of? There are immortals protecting us." That's right, if we can eat dragon meat, we will also become legends, even if we die. Hurry up and grab it. There will be no share if we're late. As soon as these words came out, a group of cultivators scrambled frantically. In the blink of an eye, the dragon's corpse was divided up cleanly. Then, someone set up a large pot and stewed it on the spot. When such a scene was seen by the golden-robed man, his whole face twisted directly into a fried dough twist, extremely ugly. Damn it, you ants! How dare you humiliate the gods? Die, you must die!" The golden-robed man roared. His body expanded rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, he turned into a 2,000-meter-long, 5-clawed golden dragon. The surging immortal energy flowed rapidly in his body. "You ants, go to hell." The 5-clawed golden dragon descended from the sky and went straight to the central prefecture immortal city. However, swish, a ray of silver light arrived at a rapid speed. "You want to stop me with this, break?" The 5-clawed golden dragon opened his mouth and spat out a dragon's breath, instantly enveloping the silver light. Gotcha! The silver moon blade cracked. Overconfident, the 5-clawed golden dragon snorted coldly and was about to fly down. Who? Mu Shiji's figure flashed and appeared in front of it in an instant. Stretching out his right hand, he grabbed the 5-clawed golden dragon's horn. "Even if you are an immortal, so what? My body, how can you break?" Before the words fell, the 5-clawed golden dragon's expression stagnated. Immediately afterward, a great pain came from his head. Howl! A sorrowful cry enveloped the world. They saw that the entire dragon horn of the 5-clawed golden dragon was pulled out by Mu Shiji. There was a huge bloody hole in the ground, and fresh blood flowed out of it, turning it scarlet. "Damn insects, lowly ants, you have completely angered me. Today you must die." After saying that, the 5-clawed golden dragon opened his mouth and spat hard. Who? A golden dragon bead was spat out from the 5-clawed golden dragon's mouth. Above the dragon bead, There was an aura of destruction. The surrounding air seemed to be unable to stand this pressure, twisting and deforming. Die! The five-clawed golden dragon roared. The dragon bead bloomed with dazzling light and went straight to Mu Shiji. The power of destruction, in the eyes of the immortal cultivators below, was full of worry. The next second, everyone couldn't help but widen their eyes, stunned in place, only to see the dragon bead was held in Mu Shiji's hand, like playing with a glass ball. The five-clawed golden dragon's scalp was numb. Trembling all over, he murmured for a long time without spitting out a word. How can your body be so strong? This is impossible. This is impossible. How can an ant's body be stronger than my clan? The five-clawed golden dragon saw Mu Shiji coming step by step, and his body trembled violently. Dragon Lord, save me. The five-clawed golden dragon took out a talisman, pinched it gently, and instantly pointed it. Buzz, heaven and earth trembled. Two teleportation vortexes instantly appeared in the sky. An old man with a turtle shell on his back stepped on the air and blocked in front of Mu Shiji. This person is the ancestor of the divine turtle clan, Xianlao. On the other side, the lord of the dragon clan, Qing Qi, holding an ancient bronze bell, appeared behind Mu Shiji. Both of them exuded the aura of immortals.